Oh, baby, here we go. It's Irish Breakdown After Dark, everyone. And we only do Irish Breakdown After Dark when there's something good to talk about. Well, yeah, I'm going to say it. Yeah, something good to talk about. I was thinking about the ones we've done in the past. This one is obviously, this is obviously a very good one to talk about. We have some breaking news.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm just going to throw it to you. Take the floor, my friend.
So we first put this on the message board at Irish Breakdown at 3:45 that all of my sources were leading to the fact that Marcus Freeman was in fact going to be Notre Dame's next head coach. I talked to three very close sources to the institution on the decision-making side. Then I talked to a couple on the team side of things, and everybody was telling me the same thing. We told you earlier today that Marcus Freeman had an interview with Jack Swarbrick today. I'm told that interview went incredibly well. That even though Jack Swarbrick, and we'll get into how it went down a little bit, even though Jack Swarbrick had some interest in other candidates, it just kept coming back to Marcus Freeman. And he made the offer this afternoon, is what I was told. So when we put the news out on our message board at 3:45, and I apologize for how slow it's been, we have had hundreds of people sign up today, and I promise you, we're working on it. But so it's a good problem to have, right? But when we put that up, I was told he had been offered the job. And now, obviously, he has accepted the job, which wasn't really a concern. But any smart married man knows I'm going home to talk this over with my wife first before we do anything. And he accepted the job. It's not the only news coming out tonight, as obviously was broke on Twitter. Tommy Rees also is coming back as Notre Dame's offensive coordinator. There's a lot to unpack on both of these situations, but Notre Dame is keeping Marcus Freeman. He is new head football coach at the University of Notre Dame. Tommy Rees is staying on the offensive coordinator, and Matt Bayless is going to remain as the strength conditioning coach. Those are the things that we know for sure right now. And so as we learn more, we'll get into more. I also have been told, here's the last little bit of news. We put on the message board as well. I am told that Notre Dame, as of last night, had reached out to Chris Watt about the possibility of coming back to be the offensive line coach. Obviously, Chris Watt was a teammate of Tommy Rees. They coached together last year. Tommy Rees had one good offensive line to coach under last year. He did not have a good offensive line coach to coach under this year. And I think there's the understanding of, as we kind of understand why. Now, again, that's what I was told by one source. So keep that in mind. I'm not as confident in that being true as I am in the other two. Obviously, we all know Tommy Rees coming back. He said so. But I am telling you with incredibly great certainty that Marcus Freeman is going to be the next head football coach at Notre Dame. So,
fantastic.
Big day.
Yes.
Big day. I just scared my dogs before we started the show. I let out a very loud shout, and it's been an interesting day.
Yes, it's been a great day, and everything has, look, we talked about best case scenario and how, we wanted things to line up, and it had to be soon in order to save the class, and it had to be this, and it had to be that, and we want this, and we want that. Dude, it's like, okay, I wrote down a list, and it's check. And if things continue to go down this path, man, I love the way that this is shaping up. I mean, this is absolutely something that is going to be exciting to watch. And I just told Brian before we got on, I said our our December shows just got a lot more.
Got off to an interesting start, that's for sure. And so, look, I want to talk. Let's talk. I'm sorry, Vince. Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, let's talk about how, little backstory, kind of how everything went down. You can start with Marcus Freeman, then we can talk about Tommy Rees, but kind of how everything happened.
So I have been told several things. So this is what I was told, that Jack Swarbrick has always liked Marcus Freeman. Right. But there was legitimate concern about the fact he'd been here a year, he's 35, and he's never been head coach.
Sure.
I think when he hired Marcus Freeman, the thought was he'd be here 2 or 3 years, and then he would promote him. There was obviously concern that he'd never been a head coach. And Jack also, as any good athletic director should do, wanted to make sure that he reached out. Because as we said the other day, this is the perfect time for Notre Dame to go through a coaching search because there are such great candidates like Luke Fickell, who's done a tremendous job at Cincinnati.
Sure.
Like Matt Campbell, who up until this year had done some really good things at Iowa State. Jeff Brom, who's done a great job at Purdue this season. There were some other people that were interested in this job. There were some people that Jack Swarbrick reached out to see if they were interested in the job. But what I'm told is every time he kind of went through all those things, it always kept coming back to Marcus Freeman. He had a great talk with Marcus Freeman the day that Brian Kelly announced he was leaving, or the day that the news broke that Brian Kelly was leaving. That's part of the reason Marcus Freeman was at the players' meeting.
Right.
And so when Brian Kelly talked, Marcus Freeman addressed the team afterwards. He's not doing that without having had a conversation with Jack Swarbrick.
Yeah.
So I've been told that Jack Swarbrick, I'm going to keep saying Jack Freeman. So that's not what I mean to say. I'm sorry, Jack Freeman at Irish Illustrated. You're my guy, but it's slip of the tongue. So I'm told that Jack Swarbrick did have conversations with other coaches, including one coach that I won't name that actually flew in to Notre Dame yesterday and met with Jack Swarbrick face-to-face. That's what I was told. I've only been told that by two sources. So again, I don't know quite how true that is. I'm always going to be honest with you guys about the validity of my sources. Some I'm stronger on, some I'm not, but I was told that. But the point is, this wasn't I'm pressured, gee, I have to hurry kind of thing. There was a few, so that was a part of it. Then, of course, he had the meeting with Marcus Freeman today, and from what I'm told, Marcus just knocked it out of the park. And any concern that there was about the experience thing, there's a plan in place for that, is what I understand, right? Marcus understands I'm a 35-year-old guy that's never been a head coach. And he's not glossing it over like, it's not a big deal. He understands it. And so there will be things in place. So that was important. And what I was told today is that it'll be announced as early as tomorrow, no later than Friday, is what I was told.
Officially, anyway.
Officially.
Because it's all over social media.
Right. But it's not official until Notre Dame.
It's official.
Like there could be something that comes out tomorrow. Now, one of the things that's helped this move so much quicker is because Marcus Freeman has already done all the background checks to be hired in the first place. Because, let's say he was at Cincinnati and they were going to hire him. There's no way you can announce it right now because he'd have to go through the background check and all the other things it takes forever at Notre Dame. Marcus already went through that.
Exactly. That's the beauty of that. Because it is an extensive. I mean, we've all seen it, right? It's extensive. It's days that it takes to get through everything. And even though we all know who's coming or whatever,
you got the FBI, the CIA. Everybody.
You're not wrong, man. You're not wrong.
So here's the other interesting part of this. So what I was told from day one. So here's a couple things I've been told by multiple sources. Brian Kelly basically tried to buy the Notre Dame staff.
Oh yeah.
He offered Marcus Freeman over what I was told by three sources is that he was offered over $3 million to go be the defensive coordinator at LSU. As of yesterday, there was. I mean, he wasn't looking at that anymore. He was not going to go to LSU.
Right.
There were some other schools looking at him. Oklahoma came and was talking to him about the head coaching job that they had. Duke wanted him as the head coach and those type of things. And so that's kind of how that went down. So, but this was the job he wanted. And there was never any doubt. From what I'm told, he didn't use Oklahoma or Duke or anybody else to try to get out of Notre Dame. Yeah. He made it very clear this is the job that I want, and so obviously that's big news for Notre Dame. So, that's kind of how that all went down. Oh, then the other part about him and Tommy Rees. So what I was also told at the very beginning is that they were kind of going to be a package deal, meaning that Marcus was going to push the fact that he has his offensive coordinator and he wants his offensive coordinator, right? Tommy Rees is the guy he wanted. Not a package deal in the fact that Marcus is turning down the job if Tommy doesn't stay, right? But that they needed to make that move because Tommy is getting offered. I was told Tommy is offered about $2 million by Brian Kelly to go to LSU.
Crazy.
Now, and the thing is, LSU was not the only big-time program that was coming after Tommy Rees. And so that was another reason. But I was told this is where he wants to be. Now, if Notre Dame is going to offer you $500,000 and LSU is going to offer you $2 million, another school
is going
to offer you $2 million.
Yeah.
I love Notre Dame, but come on now. But what I'm told is that wasn't an issue for Notre Dame in regards to keeping Tommy Rees, if that's who Marcus Freeman wanted. So it came out. So Tommy met with Tommy met with Jack Swarbrick last night.
Right.
So that, again, added further credence to the fact that I think Jack had an idea going into today's interview that this is what it was going to be. And I think Jack wanted to get Tommy's opinion on, what he was going to do, but it wouldn't surprise me if they talked about Marcus as well. I don't know that. That's 100% Brian Driscoll just giving you his opinion.
Well,
it wouldn't shock me because Jack's known Tommy a long time.
Exactly.
Jack's known Tommy a decade.
And why would you not ask him about, from his point of view and his perspective, what it was like to work with Marcus Freeman? And I'm sure he also asked him, hey, what do you think it would be like working under Marcus Freeman? Right. And how do you think that would go? Like, I have full faith that conversation took place because, again, Jack Swarbrick is no dummy. Okay. He is going to, uncover all the rocks. He's going to do everything that he needs to do to make sure that it's still the right decision. Even if on the outside looking in, it felt like he was kind of put in a corner, kind of painted into a corner because of everything that was going on, all the pro Marcus Freeman, dialogue and the recruiting classes and all of that. He's still going to do his due diligence and make sure that he's comfortable with that hire.
Yes. Yeah. But I also like the fact that this was something that I was told, again, Marcus wanted. This wasn't a situation where Tommy was thrust upon Marcus Freeman. This is a situation where it was known that this is who Marcus wanted as his offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. And we got a lot of people in the chat talking about ESPN. Hey, folks, Irish Breakdown reported this 5 hours ago.
Exactly.
5 hours ago. If you were on the message board, it would have taken you a little while for it to load for you to read it, but it took it 5 hours ago. Okay.
Right.
So we don't need ESPN and CBS Sports, because especially somebody said Dennis Dodd reporting is confirmed. Didn't Dennis Dodd yesterday say that Jack Swarbrick was willing to wait till after the playoff to hire Luke Fickell? He
said that Luke Fickell was the guy.
Right.
That's what Dennis Dodd said, because I sent you that exact thing.
And what did I say to you?
Right.
When you sent me that, what did I say to you?
He said, well, should I say that out loud?
Say a PG version of what I said.
that he's not super credible. How about that?
Right, because that's not what my intel said. Jack liked Fickell a lot,
right?
But Freeman was always right there, and so there was a lot of factors working against Luke Fickell that helped Marcus Freeman. But in the end, I just feel like this was the move that Jack was leaning towards, and this is why we said after Jack's initial press conference that I did not take it as it's going to be harder for Marcus Freeman comment. I actually took it as I actually think this sets up well for Marcus Freeman. So
right.
I don't think this is a situation where. And there is nothing I have been told from source after source. And I've probably talked over the last couple of days, really since Monday when it all broke, I've probably talked about 12 or 15 really good sources. And I always felt like this is ultimately where it was going to go. I had some nervous moments. Vince, I kind of expressed one to you today when all the national people started talking about, Luke Fickell and all this other kind of stuff. And then I did get wind that Luke Fickell actually, Luke Fickell had actually talked to Jack Swarbrick. So this is kind of how it all went down. And it was a big deal. So you've got three very important pieces to this puzzle now locked in. You've got your head coach, you've got your offensive coordinator, and your strength coach. Those are all very important.
Those are huge pieces. And if they can lock up Mike Elston, do you want to talk about the fact that he wants to stay?
Yes, but I don't. I want to talk too much about that because there's a lot more at play there that could factor into him. Maybe it may not work out. So yes, he does. I think he would like to stay, but there's some other things going on. So I'm not comfortable quite getting to that one.
That's fine. I would say from my perspective, he's the next domino that I would want to fall. Like that.
Right.
If I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm trying to get Mike Elston on board in whatever capacity I need to get him on board to continue what we have been doing. I'm saying we as if I'm Marcus Freeman, right? To continue what we have been doing on the defensive side of the ball. And so that's where I'm called. Like as soon as I called Jack Swarbrick, I said, I'm in. If I'm Marcus Freeman, my next call is to Mike Elston. Be like, hey, how do we make this happen?
I mean, I think, and we'll kind of get to a little bit of that here in some future shows as far as kind of, what's next. I think we'll do that tomorrow. We'll sort of have what's the most important things. But this was the big one, right? This was the big shoe that had to drop.
Absolutely.
It's a big moment for Notre Dame. I think it's a situation where you know now you've got to go out and you've got to say, okay, what are we going to do to go make this thing happen? So,
Yep.
And I love Tommy Rees's whole "let's go win a championship" thing.
No doubt.
That was pretty huge. That was pretty huge. So, I mean, this is it, the thing that I found fascinating about this whole thing is that I have never seen a group of team of players
Yeah.
make as hard of a push for a coach as we saw here. I mean, we've seen guys, hey, we like this guy. I don't know if I've seen that before. And I think it was my understanding it was twofold. Number one, there were some players that as soon as Kelly announced he was leaving, they wanted Freeman. But it became like the entire team after Marcus Freeman gave his talk to the team after Kelly left. That dichotomy of this guy and Marcus Freeman, and you even saw a player on the team put something out with a picture of Brian Kelly looking all sad and grumpy, and then Marcus Freeman, and it was kind of fascinating to see that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a big hire for Notre Dame. I really do.
It was an organized effort by the players. Like it felt organized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was something that they clearly discussed amongst themselves. However that discussion took place, text, calls, whatever, right? But it was very clear to me that they were together on this,
mm-hmm.
that because they kept showing the same picture. You know what I mean? Like they all had the same picture of them hugging Marcus Freeman before a game. You know, they had the same hashtag. You know, it was a very well organized, almost in a good way, mob-like mentality of the players. You know what I mean? And I mean that in the most positive way. A mob doesn't have to be negative, right? And then you also saw that from ex-players, and you saw it from the recruits as well.
I mean, Troy Pride just put a tweet out where it said, "My head coach."
Yeah.
It was a picture of Marcus Freeman.
And that was never his coach.
He never played for Marcus Freeman.
Anyway.
I don't even know if he's ever how many times he even met Marcus Freeman.
Right.
So again, this is a very interesting situation to me to see just how it all has gone down.
Yeah, no question.
And it was at the point now where Jack Swarbrick was in a situation where I don't think he would have had any choice but to hire Marcus Freeman. I mean, you would have lost your team completely. I don't know if I've ever seen a more unified topic between players, fans, and I was told that donors were hitting Jack up. Like, it's got to be Marcus Freeman. Like, that guy is completely energized this entire fan base, the entire Notre Dame universe. And that's been a fascinating thing. And okay, I had a couple people tell me during the fall that Kelly did not necessarily love how much attention that Marcus got. I was told this within the last couple weeks. And that's partly why he was so critical of the defense whenever he had a chance to be so.
Yeah, and that doesn't shock me in any way. If the last 48 hours have told people anything, okay, then that shouldn't shock you at all.
No.
Right? I mean, is that the best way to put it? I mean,
dude's petty.
He's petty. That's exactly right. Yeah. He's absolutely petty. Yeah. So I'm not surprised by that in any way. Did you want to touch on any other potential assistants that you've been hearing anything about or speculate, or do you want to let that lie for now?
No, I think that's it for now. I mean, I'm still trying to get some, obviously trying to get some more intel, and I'm going to be jumping on the phone here in a few minutes for some other things. So yeah, we're going to see, but I think you're right though. Elston is the next one that I hope happens, but there's look, when you're a father of 3 kids, there's always more to it than just what you want to do.
Oh, 100%.
Right. And sometimes, like we said about Brian Kelly, sometimes somebody offers you generational money. You know what I mean? Like,
I totally get it.
You're making $1 million at one place and somebody offers you $4 million as an assistant coach. I'm not saying that happened. I'm just saying there's a lot at stake here.
Well, I mean,
there's a lot at stake here.
So let's look at this somewhat logically, right? So we know Kellen offered Freeman. That's clearly not happening. We know that he offered Reese. That's clearly not happening. So if you're Brian Kelly, you're kind of, if you're still trying to get guys from the Notre Dame staff, you're kind of you're going down the list. Right. It would in no way surprise me that he would offer Mike Elston a prominent.
I can say this: I do know that Marcus Freeman wants Mike Elston to stay. What I don't know is what position, and so that's why I don't want to get too much into that one. Let's see how,
Right.
because we just need to see how it plays out. So I don't want to get too much into that. So we're going to find out here.
Oh,
with,
for
with
sure.
a lot of these things here moving forward. So
you're not wrong.
But look, hey, Lance Taylor, that's a guy that I'd like to see him keep. But if he wants to leave, then there's a guy in Columbus, Ohio that I'm giving a call to.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
that's a solid point.
But that's going to be the next step. Look now that he's here. We're excited about it, right? And it's a great hire. But now we learn just how good of a coach Marcus Freeman is going to be. And step
100%.
number one is getting your team ready to go play in whatever postseason game you play in. Right.
Right.
And step number two is going to be put together a staff that you can go compete for a championship with. Right.
You bet. And
you're going to be out of here.
I've already blocked somebody. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the next one on my list. Well, what's great about having so many people in the chat is it goes so fast that I can't keep up and read and still be engaged in what we're talking about. So I miss some of the bad stuff at times. So yeah, we
will see it, and we will
when we see stuff, we'll get rid of it, guys, as much as we possibly can.
Right. So I mean, and I'm just scrolling through Twitter right now. Let's just say that there's a lot of excitement amongst the Notre Dame players right now.
Oh, so, I'm sure. Yeah. I can only imagine.
Yep.
What that looks like for sure.
So
which is great.
It's gonna be fascinating to just see how this all plays out. It's gonna be how fascinating.
Because and again, it's starting to get there, right? It's starting. We're seeing the building blocks of a pretty darn good staff. At least it appears that way to me, right? And the people that we talked about in earlier shows about sticking around and guys we think will stick around, hopefully that's the case. But this could be a really good staff.
Yeah, no, but he's got to do it now, right? Like, I mean, they got to go out and make the right O-line hire. He's got to make the right D-line hire. How are you going to put your 10-man staff together and all those typical?
Look, he's a great recruiter, right? We've discussed this. Well, now it's time to go recruit a championship level staff. Right. That's full of other great championship level recruiters.
And that's going to be the interesting thing is he's a dynamic recruiter. Does he hire people with the thought of you have to be this to go there?
I hope so.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting aspect of all of this.
So I want to get your opinion on this. Somebody said something, and I think it was on the board today, about the fact, okay, so Tommy Rees and Freeman are in, but they're young and they don't have a ton of experience as far as networking and things like that. I wanted to get your opinion on that. That's what somebody else said. Yeah. What is your opinion on that? I mean, Marcus Freeman's been around a few different places, obviously.
Yeah. Marcus Freeman's been around for, over 10 years. Right. And so I don't think that's necessarily an issue for me.
Okay.
Vince, hang on a second. I need you to kind of carry this one here real quick.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. I'll tell you what, I'm going to scroll all the way back up, and I'm going to start going through some super chats here as to the best of my ability. And then when Brian comes back, if there's something I can't answer, I will let him go ahead and take it from there. So we're going to go super chat wise. Okay, here we go. Benjamin, thanks for the super chat. He says, let's go. Icing on the cake would be to win the title. Yes, no question about it. And I think that's another big piece that we need to talk about is the fact that the committee chairman, right? And he says, well, Notre Dame doesn't have a head coach. That's going to affect where we put them. Well, check mark again. That's not something that we need to worry about because they have a head coach now, and they're going to have a head coach for the rest of the way through the playoffs or through the bowl season or whatever. So you can check that. So now Notre Dame fans are back to, okay, we need Alabama to lose, and you need Baylor to win and beat Oklahoma State, and you got a really good shot at getting in, right? And hopefully the fact that he's not going to be an interim coach, he's going to be the head coach, right? And no extra titles involved. He's the head coach at the University of Notre Dame. Hopefully the committee will look past that particular issue. So, we'll see what happens. But getting this done in a quick, fashion, I think is very, very important. And we'll see what happens on Sunday night. Tommy with the super chat. Freeman's season Let's go. Get the class out back together. And get the class out back together and let's rock out, baby. Woo! Love that, Tommy. Good stuff. Good stuff, Tommy. Because you're absolutely right. Because his next, he's got they would be out recruiting right now, right? They'd be in homes, they'd be doing all this stuff. So guess what Marcus Freeman's going to do? He's going to be putting this class back together, right? There's been a couple decommits, or one that I'm aware of. That maybe there was one recently, I'm not sure, but one that was tenuous, right, out in California. Dude, Marcus Freeman's in charge now, so he's going to be talking to offensive guys too. Okay, so let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens, right? Let's see let it play out, as Brian likes to say. Andrew with the super chat. Thank you, Andrew. Pumped, excited to see even more energized Notre Dame team. And as Coach Bayless said, a angry team is a dangerous team. And I am fired up to see what this is going to look like moving forward. Matt with the super chat. Thanks, Matt. I feel sorry for whoever plays us on December 31st. These kids are going to be on fire the next 4 weeks. My point exactly. And another one from Matt. I have to work at 6 a.m. Stop doing this to me. Just kidding. Thanks for all the overtime you guys have been doing. Matt, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you hanging with us. But believe me, I totally understand where you're coming from. I actually have a day job as well that seems to be getting neglected just a little bit. But you know what? If things go the way they've been going at Notre Dame, we're not going to have to worry about this for another decade, right? Or more. And so this is worth the time, worth the effort, and it looks like it's panning out exactly the way we all wanted it to, or the way most of us wanted it to, based on some of the comments. So it's still a very exciting time. No question about it. C. Davis, thanks for the super chat. I went from 6 a.m. to midnight. Boom. Wow. Holy smokes. All right. Here we go. Mason, thanks for the super chat. Let's go. Absolutely, Mason. Could not agree more. Sophie King, thank you for the super chat. Let's go. Pumped to see what the future brings in both recruiting and game days. Could not agree more with that. I am fired up about what this is going to look like. And guess what? The best part about this, in my opinion, is we don't have to wait 8-9 months to see what Marcus Freeman brings to the table, right? As a head coach, we only have to wait about a month. And that's exciting all by itself. So is it going to be a complete, Marcus Freeman regime in a month? No, but we get to see Tommy Rees with his handcuffs taken off with the offense. Okay. That's pretty darn exciting to me. And then we get to see Marcus Freeman as a head coach. Those are all pretty exciting situations, if you ask me. Lawrence Adams, thanks for the super chat. Christmas come early, addition by subtraction. Very happy about this. We are ND. We will win a natty. I have full faith that this will work out amazingly for Notre Dame. Lawrence, I am in the same boat as you, my friend. There is no question about it. Dennis, thanks for the super chat. Dennis, here is $10 to fix the board. So excited. What he's referring to is we've had so much traffic over at the Irish Breakdown board that it was running a little slow. But again, great problem to have, right? I mean, we're not used to that kind of traffic, but we will get there. And we appreciate everybody's patience. But what an exciting time to be a Notre Dame fan. Excuse me. And what an exciting time to be an Irish Breakdown fan and be a part of the IB family. So thanks, Dennis. Really appreciate that. I'll make sure that I let Brian know that was what that is earmarked for. Demetrius Rex with the super chat. Tyler Buckner, Marcus Freeman, and Tommy Rees. Welcome to the post-Kelly era of Notre Dame. You're absolutely right. Let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do. Cheeky Cole. I hope I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I apologize. But thank you so much for the super chat. That is awesome. Really, really appreciate it. Tony, thank you for the super chat. Love the coverage, boys. Love the hire too. And Reese staying. Just the first 2 dominoes, baby. I'm hoping for a lot more dominoes as we keep going. But you're right. You got to start with these guys, and then you continue to move forward. Could not agree more, Tony. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. Gene, thanks for the super chat. A bold choice for head coach by Notre Dame. I love it. Does it speak volumes that it appears BK won't be taking many, if any, assistance with him to LSU? Love IB and the content. Keep up the great work. I'm sure that somebody is going to go to LSU or a couple somebodies, depending on how things, roll out here over the next couple of days. But we're going to know really quick because Brian Kelly can't sit on his hands. He has to get a staff together. And it's, we hear Matt Balis turn down LSU, right? And then he's committed to Notre Dame. And we saw the video come out yesterday. And then all of a sudden, LSU is going to keep their strength and conditioning coach. He's one of the best in the business, It's all spin, guys. And it's pretty funny if you ask me. But, Brian Kelly is, I don't know if he is, how do I want to put this? Spinning his wheels, panicking. I'm sure that he is not doing those things, but I would be lying if I said I didn't get a little bit of enjoyment out of the fact that he's putting offers out there and they're not being accepted right away. I will say that. So I think that is a little bit telling, but that's as far as I'll go with that at the present. Christopher, thank you for the super chat. Man, Tommy had some swagger in that video. I wouldn't want to play us next. Tommy looks like somebody who just got out of a bad divorce. I'm sorry, but the vibe that he gave to me was just like a weight off of his shoulders. He's like, I'm here. Let's go win a national championship. Like, that video was awesome. It's about 90 seconds. I believe it's on the Notre Dame Twitter page or Facebook page, I would imagine. So people need to go check that out because it is worth it. It is worth your time to go check out that video because Tommy looks fired up to be standing in front of the team, and he did it the right way too. Obviously, he's back in South Bend. He called the guys in. It looked like it was just the offense that was in there, but he did it the right way, which, again, speaks volumes, right? Speaks volumes. Lawrence with the super chat. Thank you, Lawrence. Very thankful for what the former coach did for Notre Dame, but it was time for him to go. I see what you did there with the go, Geaux. Can we please stop saying the former coach's name now, please? We could just call him the one who shall not be named. We're going to go Harry Potter on the whole situation, Lawrence. Believe me, what I will say is after the next couple of days, there's no need to bring up his name anymore. So it's all good to me. I have no problem with that. Just like we don't bring up the T word anymore. So, there's that. Patrick with the super chat. Thank you, Patrick. I can't remember a time in Notre Dame history where everyone rallied around a program and we all agreed. Let's end the Disney moment with a national championship. Man, nothing would make me happier. And no, it would not be there's no sweeter taste than a national championship for Notre Dame 4 weeks after the one who will remain nameless left. Like, that would be glorious beyond measure. Okay. That would be glorious to me. So I'm with you on that one, Patrick. I think that would be a Disney ending. And so you can strike up the band on that one and start writing the script. Irish AJ with the super chat. Thank you, Irish. Really, really, really appreciate that. I know there's more down here. Here we go. Patrick with the super chat. Let's put the cherry on top and win the title this year. We are ND. Could not agree more. Patrick Martin with the super chat. So excited. Kelly has no one of worth going with him. Kelly and ESPN can eat crow. Freeman is an ND guy. It certainly appears that way, doesn't it? This is awesome. I'm like giddy over here, which is not a normal attitude for me, but I am so fired up because I wanted this so bad. Like, this felt like so the right decision that it almost made too much sense. And I was so fired up about it, and I was so excited about it. And I was like, no, it just can't happen. Like, it feels like it should happen too much that there's no way it's going to happen. And then it's just, I didn't want to get excited about it because I was like, if I get excited about it, then it's never going to happen. But here we are. And, Marcus Freeman come on, man. Like, this is awesome. This is so awesome. I'm going to pull this up from JP because I appreciate it. Vincent Bryan, thank you for your incredible, accurate information on your premium message board. I am IB Nation premium message board for life. Like Brian said, over 5 hours ago, he had this scoop up on the message board. Over 5 hours ago. So If you want the up-to-date, you want the solid intel, you need to get over to the boards, man. Boards.irishbreakdown.com. It is worth your money, okay? And it's not even that much money. That's not, and the other thing that Brian always says is that's not like a special introductory price where like a year from now we're going to bump the rates on you. That is an everyday, every year price, and believe me, it is worth every dime. It's worth every dime. If you want to all the inside information from Notre Dame, you want to be involved. Real Sports Talk with Alex. What is up, Alex? He says, thanks for the super chat. He says, let's go. Freeman is the man to get it done. Got to say that I agree with you. The word dynamic is all I can think of when I think of Marcus Freeman. That's all I can think of. Marky Parlay. Thank you, Marky, for the super chat. Congrats. You got your guy. See you in Syracuse. Try out Dinosaur Barbecue. Please, though, avoid the racial tropes that were whispered around South Bend with Ty Willingham after not succeeding and having initial success. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, Marky. I had that conversation with my wife over dinner tonight. And she remembered, and she is not a sports fan in any stretch of the imagination. And she remembered people saying that when Tyrone Willingham was let go after 3 years. And it was just wrong. Like the racial stuff was just wrong on so many levels. It had nothing to do with anything, but it was ridiculous. It was because he didn't do a very good job as the head football coach at Notre Dame, plain and simple. It had nothing to do with the color of his skin, and that really irritated me at the time because that's right around the time that I started covering Notre Dame. 2004 is when I started covering the Irish, and I believe that was his last year. Was 2004, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm getting it right in my head. So, yeah, that was messed up. I hate when narratives get out there that aren't true, and people like latch onto them, and it's ridiculous. But thank you, Marky, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. John A1 jumping in with the super chat. I'm so fired up right now. Love Notre Dame. Love IB Nation. Welcome again to Marcus Freeman. I can guarantee you this is not how Marcus Freeman saw the first 11 months of his tenure going. I don't think anybody saw it going like this, but I got to tell you how excited I am that is the case. Mackenzie with the super chat, unrelated to today, but scheduling strength next year and future. 4 non-Power 5 teams plus Ohio State and inconsistent ACC teams, usually only 2 to 3 non-Power 5 each year. And it says continued, so I'm going to go look for the next one from Mackenzie Kelly. I don't see another one anywhere near, but you know what? To be honest with you, Mackenzie, I have not analyzed the schedule for Notre Dame for next year, but I'm going to do that right now so I can at least get it up in front of me. Let's see.
Vince, I have some news to report.
Oh, please. I would love to have news.
The contract has been finalized. It is going to happen. So
nice.
All the final language is worked out. I was just told by a couple sources. I just got off the phone with some people. I was doing a quick spot, and then I just got a phone call from one of my sources that told me a couple hours ago that this was going to happen.
Yeah, right.
The contract with Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame has been finalized. So it is.
Boom.
It is not official in that Notre Dame has announced it, but according to that source, it is official in that Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame have done all that they need to do to make it a final agreement. So I don't know how much it was for. I honestly didn't care. I just wanted to know when it was finalized. That's what my task was. When it's finalized, you let me know. But I can assure you it's going to be a good amount. Now, is it going to be, Mel Tucker money? No, because Marcus Freeman's never been a head coach before. But it's
exactly, and I think he would anticipate I mean, that's.
I would imagine there's going to be escalators built into it, like with anything. You make college football playoff, you do this. You win a championship, you do this. So if they have more,
do you think
success,
he gets an escalator if they get in like 4 days?
I would imagine so. Yeah. I hope that they put an escalator, and that if you play LSU and beat them, you get $1 million bonus. That's what I would have built in the contract.
Hey, do you want to? This is the first question that I would love to have your help on, and it's perfect timing. So Mackenzie with the super chat says unrelated to today, but scheduling strength next year and the future. 4 non-Power 5 teams plus Ohio State plus inconsistent ACC teams, usually only 2 to 3 non-Power 5 each year. And it says continue, but I couldn't find anything. This is at 9:05, by the way, if you wanted to look. But I pulled up the schedule. There are 4 non-Power 5. You got Marshall, you got BYU, UNLV, and Navy.
And BYU is kind of an asterisk because they're joining the Big 12.
That's a very solid point. Very solid point.
And of course, I would imagine that BYU is kind of viewed a lot like Notre Dame is, because technically Notre Dame's not a Power 5. But if you look at BYU, they play a lot of Power 5 teams. I mean,
yes,
their schedule is very similar to Notre Dame's.
Correct.
In that their schedule is primarily made up of Power 5 teams. And this year they played Arizona, Utah, Arizona State, Baylor, Washington State, Virginia, and USC. So they played 7 Power 5 teams this year.
Right.
And then Boise and Utah State, and so I would kind of throw BYU in a little bit of a different deal. But what's the? I guess I kind of jumped on late.
Well,
what's the?
So what do you mean? The question?
What's the? I'm not asking this disrespectfully. What's the point of the question?
Oh, just like what's the future hold basically for Notre Dame based on everything that for next year's schedule, I guess.
Well, like you've got Clemson on next year's schedule. You've got North Carolina on next year's schedule, Ohio State, USC, Stanford. Yes, inconsistent ACC teams, but also that can make your schedule dangerous because is this the year that you play Miami and NC State when they're really good, like what we saw in 2017?
Right.
And then there's going to be years like this year where North Carolina's down, Virginia's down, Georgia Tech is down.
So you've got Boston College is on the schedule, and
they're going to be pretty good.
Phil Drakovic's coming back for his 5th year, right? So that's
I would imagine so, yeah.
I would imagine that would be the case. So they're going to be at least dangerous, right? USC, everybody says Lincoln Riley is going to turn it around immediately. So you got to say that that's going to be a tough game, right? You've got Clemson. I'm sorry, I'm not counting Clemson out anytime soon. I don't, that's not going to happen. And then, look, everybody wanted Notre Dame to play BYU this year, so don't complain about them playing them next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think McKenzie was complaining about it per se, but yeah, I mean that would be part. Well, like I just said in that little spot I was doing, everybody's talking about Notre Dame need to join a conference. I like to remind people it's not until this weekend in the championship games that Alabama, it's Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma State, and Baylor will all be playing their 12th FBS opponent this week. Notre Dame's already done that.
And what did the radio guy or whoever you were talking to say about that?
It's a really good point.
Yeah, that's my favorite response. It's my favorite response. Tommy, hashtag Freeman season. So that's exciting right there. Thanks, Tommy, for the super chat. Really appreciate that. I'm sorry. Here's Mackenzie's. I was looking for a non-super chat continuation. We are only independent team except maybe UMass in 2 to 3 years. Does it matter with extended playoff anyway in the coming years?
No, I mean, no, it doesn't. I mean, and that's the whole thing. And that's where Vince kind of swung me on the criticism I had is Notre Dame has to just be they need to be top 10. I don't want to say top 12 because the rule is going to be that the 6 highest ranked conference champs get automatic bids, right?
Correct.
Well, in some years, those are non-top 12 teams.
Oh, yeah.
So like in 2019, when Notre Dame finished the year number 12, they would not have gotten in because I think it was Memphis was behind them and would have got in because they were the highest ranked. They were the highest ranked, one of the 6 highest ranked conference champs. So they're basically, if you're top 10, you're guaranteed to be in, right? I mean, that's the reality.
Right.
If you're top, and Notre Dame being top 10, I mean, right now, Notre Dame's, if we're an expanded playoff, we're not worried about who plays it. And again, this is one of the reasons I don't like about the about the expanded playoff, because right now, with an expanded playoff, nobody cares this weekend. None of these games matter for Notre Dame this weekend. None. It doesn't matter who wins the SEC championship because Bama and Georgia are both going to get in.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter who wins the Big 12 championship because both are probably going to be in, right? I mean, you're just playing for seeding.
Right. It would just be the matchup.
What's going on.
That's it.
All
That's
right.
all that would matter.
I can say with, hold on a second. Let me ask.
Okay. I'll you want me to throw up another one here? Here, Steve with the super chat. Got to say, Brian, since you're the guy I turn to for a lot of my Irish info, your tone regarding Fickle earlier today had me nervous. LOL.
Yeah, I was kind of there too.
Me too.
I was kind of there too.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I feel great. Freeman. I'm an ND fan for 40 years, and I'm floating.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out if I'm able to report this, but there's one other assistant coach that will be staying at Notre Dame for sure now. So I'm just trying to find out if I can report that. He's
As long
going
as
to
it's
tell
not a couple of guys. So
I would
I'm
not
happy.
be looking
saying.
forward to reporting
Well,
it. I mean, I think you can process of elimination say, first of all, those guys aren't going to tell me. Like freaking Driscoll, block. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So,
oh,
hey, Coach Quinn, how you doing, man? Hey, let's go grab lunch today. You know,
here we go. I'll throw this up here.
I would rather.
Alex says Elston to LSU as the defensive coordinator sounds likely. So
I mean, it's like I said, that's why I'm trying to hold off a little bit on.
I know. I just figured I'd throw it out there because I don't know who you're talking about. It's not like Brian and I have like winky, tells for each other. Danaher the Bulldog, great name by the way. Danaher the Bulldog. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Matt, thank you for the super chat. Alfred turned Kelly down. If now comes to Notre Dame, it will burn Kelly's backside. YouTube wouldn't let me use the other word.
I do want to say this. I kind of threw Alfred's name out there because I do think they consider talking to him and I know he'd be interested in coming back. Getting him away from Ohio State would be hard, but
sure,
I'm pretty confident in saying this that Tommy would like to have Lance Taylor back.
Yes,
that's who Tommy. Now, what I would consider if I was Tommy Rees is, do you move Lance to receivers?
Bingo.
And hire another running backs coach.
Well, and Alfred coached receivers at Notre Dame, did he not?
Yes, but he's a running backs coach. Lance coached receivers in the NFL.
Yeah,
like Lance was a receiver.
That's
right.
True.
I mean, so
he
coached running backs like I coach running backs because he's a good coach and he can learn it.
Right.
But he's a receiver. I mean, that's why he was with the Panthers as a receivers coach.
That's a good point.
And that's why his running backs are always so darn good at catching the football.
Right. Seriously. Robert with the super chat. Brian Vince, I feel like it's Christmas. Marcus came up to my son after the Toledo game. He was class. Great hire. And that is a story that I have heard ad nauseum, not from Robert, but just overall, that when people meet Marcus Freeman, they are left with the impression that, like, wow.
I said this too. I said I don't know, was it one of these shows? I said he's got a very disarming personality.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, even if you go in like kind of not wanting to like him, it's like you walk out like, man, this guy's a pretty cool guy. You know what I mean? Like he was, and did you notice something else during the last 24 hours as the Notre Dame players are making their push for Marcus Freeman? Every single kid tweeted a picture out of Marcus Freeman dapping them up as they were walking off the sideline.
Exactly.
That's something he would do. He would literally dap up his players as they were walking in the locker room.
And notice that many of those players that were tweeting out those pictures, they weren't starters. Like they not necessarily buried on the depth chart, but it was every defensive player he would do that to. I'm just saying. Yeah. Daniel wanted me to unmute you while you were talking on the phone.
I'm glad you didn't.
Had to throw that up there. I thought that was pretty funny.
Come on, Daniel. You're always trying to start some stuff, man.
I know. Matt with the super chat, thanks. Do you think Elston is a money issue at this point, or is there more there? I don't know if you wanted to.
I think there's a lot more to it than that. I mean, it's just I don't want to get into it, but there's a lot more to it than that.
K Grant with the massive super chat. Thank you, K Grant. Much appreciated.
Yeah, man, that's huge.
Feeling generous. I'm pumped about this staff and team.
Kay Grant also signed up for the message board today. So
did he really? See, he's really feeling good.
Yes.
Freeman era. Dinner on me, guys. Go Irish. I love it. Thank you, man. That's awesome. That is fantastic.
Well, we're inviting Google out with us too, because Google's going to have 40% of the meal.
Third.
Get a Google rep out with us out to dinner. But no, Kay Grant, I appreciate you, buddy. Really, I do. You've come through a lot with us this year. We love your support and all that kind of stuff, but really, really appreciate you.
No doubt.
And I can now report it. I'm getting the okay. Mike Mickens is staying on at Notre Dame.
Nice. Yeah. Excellent. I'm assuming that roles have not been discussed per se. Okay.
Correct.
All right. I'll take it. I will take it because he's a massive addition to this.
I mean, that's one that I kind of assumed.
I did too.
Right. But it's nice to
know. You never know.
Nice to know.
Josh with the super chat. Just want to thank you guys for all the hard work over the past 2 days. You are welcome, Josh. I've actually really enjoyed it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Cade with the super chat. Thanks, Cade. Really appreciate it. Thank God for Freeman. My dad can finally sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm wondering if like my message board might get a little bit like, less slow down a little bit because now that it's like there, people aren't written refresh every 5 seconds.
Seriously.
So,
Because I was for a while.
Yeah.
Irish AJ, thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Irish AJ. Michael Ryan. Michael, thank you for the super chat. This is the best resolution to a bad situation. Go Coach Freeman. Go Irish.
Yep.
That's actually a really good point because this thing could have gone sideways very easily with the timing of everything, with, the people that were being discussed to potentially be the head coach. It could have gone sideways. I completely agree with you, Michael. And just because this ended really, really well, people need to remember this didn't have to end really well.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Because look, Jack Swarbrick did his due diligence. I was getting a little nervous because I'm like, man, he's calling this coach, he's calling that coach. I mean, I was given names of at least 5-6 head coaches that he reached out to about the position. And part of me was like, man, is he just not confident in Coach Freeman? Is it, but it was Jack doing what Jack does. It was Jack doing that. If I'm going to do this job, it needs to be done right. If I'm going to go with Marcus, I need to be certain that he's the best man for the job. And I think that's better for the program. What you don't want to do is, I think it's going to be Marcus. And so you don't do your due diligence. You don't make Marcus have to really show you his vision, and you just promote him because the kids love him. And then you realize, well, this guy doesn't have a vision for what needs to be. This guy does. No, you got to do your due diligence. You make those phone calls. You see who's interested. When people express interest to you, you make that. Because here's the other thing too, is you don't want to necessarily dismiss them because you never know when you may want to call them again.
Sure. Absolutely. That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Brian Kelly did it the wrong way. Jack Swarbrick did it the right way.
And look, when this all went down, I said, Jack's going to do this the right way. I have faith that Jack Swarbrick is going to do it the right way. He's impressed me his whole tenure.
Not going to lie, I doubted him just a little bit today.
You didn't let me finish because when I would say about 10 o'clock today, give or take, right? So I kind of settled in at work. I was kind of doing my thing, and I'm kind of twiddling my thumbs, and I'm like, okay, this needs to be done. Why is it not done? And I'm starting to second guess. But you know what? At the end of the day, he did it the right way. He fulfilled everything that I thought that he would do. It just, in my mind, in the era of instant gratification, it wasn't fast enough, right? But he did what he needed to do. Paul with the super chat, I have to admit, I was totally against the Reese hire after this season, and watching him address the team today, I'm on the Tommy train. Go Irish. You're muted. You're muted.
Dang it, I hit the button. Hit it twice. I think Tommy won a lot of people over with that.
Yeah.
I think people knew how hard it was going to be for him to say no to Brian Kelly.
Yes.
And it was. Tommy Reese has a lot of respect for Brian Kelly.
No question.
But this is where he wanted to be. And what he said, that's who he wanted. That's who he is. That's what he means. I'm told that Tom Lloyd of 247 Sports has reported that John McNulty is going to stay at Notre Dame.
Another one. See, dominoes, baby.
That's definitely someone that Tommy Reese. So that's the one guy that Tommy Reese was allowed to bring in on his own. That's who Tommy Reese wanted to be the tight end coach when he was hired. Yeah, originally. Yeah, because he worked with John McNulty with the Chargers when he was a assistant coach with the Chargers. So that was a big one for Tommy Reese. And and I think too is John McNulty's one of those older veteran coaches that you want to have around a relatively young staff.
Right.
He's that kind of guy that can kind of be that veteran guy.
Yeah.
He's been
and
an
you
OC.
Need that.
Right.
You need that. I mean, look, I have a veteran on my staff, my high school baseball staff, because I need guidance. You know what I mean? And I run everything by
any
him.
Good coach knows they need somebody with experience around them to get the
Absolutely.
job done.
No question. It's invaluable. I can tell you that. And again, small peanuts compared to what you're talking about with Notre Dame.
It's the same thing. There's more at stake at Notre Dame than when I'm coaching at a D3 school or a 1AA school. You're coaching at a high school.
Yeah.
There's more at stake, but the principles of success are the same.
Yeah.
So
I run everything by him. Everything. Like, hey, should we order this? Should we? So yeah, it's invaluable. I'm telling you right now. These just kind of make me laugh. So I'm throwing them up here. John Kelly is offering Brian the OC gig while you were on the phone. And Daniel says Brian is talking to Freeman. Freeman is hiring the IB staff.
Brian Kelly couldn't pay me enough money to follow him to LSU.
If Freeman called, I'm having a discussion.
No,
okay.
No, I love what I'm doing.
I love what I do too,
Yes.
but I wouldn't mind being.
You can leave me for Marcus Freeman if you want. I have no interest in getting back into coaching. I love what I'm doing. I'm excited now, but if Marcus Freeman makes decisions that I think aren't good, we'll say so. That's our job, right?
You know we will. Yes.
I think this is a big step for Notre Dame. I think this can be the move that takes Notre Dame over the edge. I believe that, and whether it happens this year or next year, I don't know.
Right,
but I think this is big. This is big for the program. This is very big for the program.
Jim with the super chat. Props to Jack for making the bold choice. I'm so pumped about the Irish going forward. Thank you, Jim.
Jim is correct. This is a bold.
It is.
It is. It was not. It's not easy for someone who runs a $1 billion business, which essentially is what Notre Dame football is, right? Can we get that?
Absolutely.
This is a big time money business that he runs, that he's responsible for. You make the wrong choice, and it's your legacy, it's your future, it's all those type of things, and that's where the attraction was to proven coaches.
Right.
I think Marcus can be great, but I know Luke Fickell can at least be really good. And that's not an easy decision. It is for us, right? Because we're not the ones signing the checks for millions.
We're not
of dollars.
the ones invested,
literally invested in.
Yes.
Now, does it impact our livelihoods and things like that if Notre Dame's football is good? Of course, but it's a different scale, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
So it was not an easy decision for Jack Swarbrick from the standpoint of. I think it was ultimately an easy decision for him in regards to just everything being there, but it's still not an easy decision to pull that trigger on someone who's never been head coach before.
No question.
It's not. It was a bold move.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bold move.
I want to put this in here, and I'm sure he was responding to something Seth maybe was saying, but USC versus ND will be great. I'm telling you.
I'm so looking forward to that.
It could be so
You've got a young defensive-minded head coach and a young offensive-minded head coach that are very charismatic and very great recruiters. There's going to be some recruiting battles. Like I've already done one interview for our new recruiting position. I've got several others that I was going to interview this week, but I said, hey, I'm going to need some time. You know, but no doubt. There's a lot. There's a lot. So the recruiting battles are going to be fun. The team battles are going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yep. Buckle up.
Yeah.
Buckle up. Wendell with the super chat. What are your expectations for 22 with Freeman at the helm? Would a legit title hunt be unrealistic in year one?
I got to see who comes back first, right?
Yeah,
let's
that's
see.
Huge.
Let me see who they sign on December 15th. Let me see, because should Notre Dame be in position to make a run next year? Yeah, but depending on who comes back, it could be a little bit of a tougher run.
Sure.
If Isaiah Foskey comes back, then, and that's one of the shows we're going to do this next couple of days. Now,
who's going to go?
Notre Dame has a head coach.
I know, right?
Right. I mean,
I was so ready.
It's kind of a dumb show to do when you don't have a head coach, but now they have a head coach, so we can have that show, whether it'll be tomorrow or tomorrow night or Friday or whatever the case may be. This week's been kind of wild.
Fluid. It's fluid.
It's wild.
Like my sleep schedule.
Yes.
All right.
But to the question is, I need to see who comes back first before I really jump into this. Like,
and I want to see the full staff too. Right. Like, I think that absolutely.
Like, if he makes a hire defensive coordinator that I don't like, or they make a decision with the O-line coach I don't like, or they literally lose every kid that could potentially go to the NFL, then that's going to have a little bit of an impact on it. Because at some of these positions, I don't know if there's the natural replacement like there was this year. Now's the thing that bothered me so much about, they lost so many players. Yeah, but there were so many natural guys stepping into those positions, right? Like, it was natural for Kristoff and Carell to be ready to step into the starting lineup up front if they were prepared correctly. It was natural for Lindsey and Austin to step into that role. And Isaiah Foskey had played a lot of football in the last 2 years, and Justin Adamiola had been that guy. And, except for Will linebacker and the second corner, and even then, Cam Hart's a junior. I mean, a lot of this was, you knew who that guy was going to be. The question was, is that guy going to play well?
Sure.
Next year, there could be some. I don't know who the Viper's going to be next year if Isaiah Foskey leaves. Sure. Are they going to allow Justin Adamiola to play there, continue to play there? Or is he going to be a big end? I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot more decisions that kind of go into this thought process. Does Jason Adamiola come back?
Right.
If Foskey and Jason Adamiola come back next year, my answer to that is yep. Can they make a legit? Can a title hunt be unrealistic in year one? Nope, not unrealistic at all. Nope. That's if they come back.
Right.
But if they both leave, it's like,
and see, if you're talking about those guys up front, right? And I would agree with you, but I'd be even more in agreement with you if Mike Elston comes back too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's a big piece of the puzzle for me.
Right. And if he leaves, who do you replace him with? I mean, there's just a lot of that kind of stuff that goes into this.
For sure. Yeah. Next super chat from NJH Irish 84. Thank you very much. Yeah. Very much appreciate it. John Keevers with the super chat. ND is now feared amongst the elite programs. The excitement is unmatched. Thank you, Vincent Coach. You're very welcome. So
yeah, we addressed this the other day, but we have a lot more people in our chat that were in that one that we addressed the other day. So I want to reiterate, I have been told from the time Marcus Freeman was hired, and you even heard it for those of you that listened to that LSU show I did last night.
Yeah.
That guy was like, he's been told that what do you call him? Marcus Freeman is the Einstein of defensive football.
That's what he said. Yeah.
I've never heard that before. That was a pretty cool statement. But what I have been told is that when he chose Notre Dame over LSU, there was a lot of coaches that were like, uh-oh, like that's not good. Right?
Yeah.
Hopefully he does. But then the thought was, what I was told is they don't think he was going to be there very long. So they weren't as nervous. Well, now that he's the head coach, it's like, oh boy. And I've been told that if Marcus Freeman stayed at Notre Dame and got the head coaching job, because there was always rumblings in the coaching business that, the Brian Kelly could be on the way out in the next year or two. And if Marcus was that guy, that was kind of like, that's not good. Because look, here's something I've been told for a decade. And I've been told this by friends of mine in the coaching world and by Notre Dame coaches of what they're told. There's a lot of people around the country that when Brian Kelly first got here, it was, Notre Dame's a bigger threat than people realize, okay, because of the things they stood for. But in this last decade, as they've improved their facilities and they've really advanced from a facilities and those type of things standpoint, there's a lot of coaches that are like, this is just not good. And they wanted Brian Kelly here as long as possible because they respected Brian Kelly. He was going to make them relevant, but not scare the power teams in a lot of different ways. And that they were afraid that if Notre Dame got the right coach, because here's something else that a lot of people know. Notre Dame's a hard place to win, but it takes the right kind of guy. And if they hire the right guy, that makes them very dangerous.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are looking at this saying, I don't know if Marcus Freeman is going to be a great head coach, but I know for the next 2-3 years, our life just got real miserable in recruiting. That's just the way people are going to look at it, and that's without knowing who his staff is going to be.
Right. Yeah. I was just starting to write down like the names that we know already. And there's a lot of openings left. You know what I mean? And I think that's important to understand. Right.
Right.
Next super chat.
Let me. So you've got offensive coordinator, at least a secondary guy in Mike Mickens. You've got
tight ends
in McNulty, and obviously Freeman's the head coach. We know those four for sure.
And
right? Strength, right?
That's important to me.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with Nick Lazinski, right?
Yeah,
like that's something I'm very curious about because there's a couple young GAs on the staff that they really like. Nick Lazinski and Chris O'Leary are two guys that the people are really high on. And if Notre Dame didn't need a safeties coach and needed a linebackers coach this past year, I think there's a good chance Nick Lazinski could have been hired as the linebackers coach. Now that Marcus Freeman's the head coach, I could see a much better scenario of Nick Lazinski. Now, part of that's going to depend on who the D coordinator is going to be.
Sure.
Is the D coordinator a D line coach? Is he a DB coach? And that could factor in as well. But I think that's a guy that's going to get a hard push from some of the players as, hey, coach, right? And I've been told that Marcus is very high on Nick Lazinski too. Now, will that be enough for Nick to get a full-time job? I don't know.
Right.
But personally, I'd love to see Nick Lazinski be on the staff and be in a sort of a co-special teams coordinator role with somebody on defense or with somebody on offense.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great role for him because I think he's another young and up-and-coming guy that has a lot of potential as a recruiter. Mm-hmm. We've heard players rave about him as a position coach for a long time. So I think there'd be some value to that as well. because, again, he has got a lot of coaching experience at Notre Dame. He's done a lot of actual coaching at Notre Dame. He's done a lot of actual recruiting at Notre Dame, not the off-campus kind, but the other kind.
Right.
And so I think that's why Nick Lazinski would be a guy that if I'm Marcus Freeman, I would really strongly consider him for that position. Again, there's some other factors. Maybe the guy that Marcus wants to be the D coordinator is a linebacker guy. And that may make it harder to hire Nick Lazinski.
Sure.
But those are some things that I'm hearing.
Yep. So because there's at least going to be 3-ish names that are going to be new, right? Yeah. I mean, that weren't full-time assistant coaches in the past. I mean,
at Notre Dame.
At Notre Dame, correct? Yeah. Yes. New to Notre Dame.
Yep.
Okay.
And a name to keep an eye on should Mike Elston leave, and again, we hope that he doesn't. But should Mike Elston leave, a guy to keep an eye on is Larry Black. Larry Black was a GA under Mike Elston, and him and Mike Elston got along really well. He's now the D-line coach at Toledo. Do y'all remember what Toledo did to Notre Dame this year? Their D-line did to Notre Dame this year.
Yeah.
Larry was a guy that was very influential in recruiting some of the current defensive linemen, along with Elston, because Elston has had a unique relationship with his GAs. Some of them I don't think he liked very much, but Larry was one of those guys that Elston would just say, take them and go coach. And so those were two guys. And I remember when I actually called Larry after Clark Lee left to talk to him about, okay, what are your thoughts on Mike Elston potentially being a D coordinator? And he just raved about him. So there's still that good relationship there. He would know a lot of the players, so there'd be a little bit of a smoother transition. Like the juniors and seniors would know who Larry Black is. So that's a name to keep an eye on. Again, I'm not breaking news. I'm just saying I think that's a name to keep an eye on should Mike Elston leave. But I think, look, I'm told that Marcus wants Mike Elston to stay, is what I'm told. It's just I don't know if all the things are going to fit. We'll have to find that out. But I am confident he's going to want to stay. And I think Mike Elston would like to stay. But again, Mike Elston has a wife and 3 daughters to think of. And sometimes you get that offer that you can't refuse.
No, I get that too. KR with the super chat. Thanks, KR. There's going to be some nervous people in Columbus next year.
Yeah, especially if their head coach leaves.
Oh, that's a really good point. It's a really good point. And somebody said everybody needs to sit and think about this for a second. Marcus Freeman's first game in a regular season is going to attack his alma mater as a head coach. Like,
first question I want to ask Coach Freeman is, who is your dad rooting for?
Because he's a huge Ohio State fan. Yeah, I remember that story. Yeah, I remember that story.
He told that in the interview he did with Chris Zorich.
Yeah,
it's a really good story. Yeah,
that's funny. So it goes 76. Thanks for the super chat. The fact that we're having this discussion while Notre Dame has a chance to make the playoff is insane. My guess, Marcus Freeman win more than a Camping World Bowl.
He got a Music City Bowl win too. I just love the fact that
they both against LSU.
I love the fact that his 2 biggest bowl wins are against the team he played. He's now coaching.
I know, right?
The only good he's like, Kelly, you're what are you doing? The only good team you've been able to beat in your tenure, you now coach them.
Yeah, but they're elite. They're elite.
Right. Okay. And you got beat by Notre Dame. So what does that say about Notre Dame?
Yeah, bingo. Matt.
With you as the head coach.
Yeah, Matt 2011 GT. Thanks for the super chat. Have you seen the picture of Brian Kelly's new staff? There's no one in it.
Well, there's some guys from LSU that are going to stay. Corey Raymond's going to stay. Yeah, but I get the shade. I get the shade, and I'm here for it.
I'm here for it as well. Yeah, I am here for it as well. And the my favorite thing so far was the fact that he offered basically a blank check to Matt Balis to come down and be his strength coach, and then like 2 hours later, that Matt Balis said he's staying at Notre Dame. Well, no, Brian Kelly's going to keep the strength coach at LSU. He's one of the best in the business. Blah 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 blah. He's an innovator. You know.
Matt filled that blank check out with no thanks.
Yeah, it was great. It was fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dino Bambino 23. Thanks for the super chat. Let's go. Freeman and Reese are the first dominoes. Elston next. We need to retain Lance Taylor as the running back coach as well. The running back room is the best it's ever been, hands down.
I would look. I'd be open to. Here's the interesting thing about keeping Lance Taylor. If you keep Lance Taylor, it gives you a lot more flexibility for who your next coach is going to be.
Yep.
Because I believe Lance can coach receivers just as good as he can coach running backs. I mean, again, the guy was a great running back coach at Stanford, Coach Bryce Love and Christian McCaffrey. He's done a great job coaching at Notre Dame, right? Those two things are true. He was also hired in the NFL as a not the assistant to the assistant receivers coach. He was the receivers coach in the NFL. Yeah. He played receiver. So that's the thing is like, let's just say, again, this is not happening, right? This is not happening. I have no intel that it's going to happen. As far as I know, Tony Alford has no intention of leaving Ohio State. And if I were him and I had Travion Henderson for at least 2 more years, you'd have to offer me a snot load of money for me to leave Ohio State. Okay, let's be honest about that.
Oh, that's fair.
But let's just say hypothetically, Coach Alford wanted to come back. Okay, cool. Lance, you're coaching receivers, right? I mean, that's 2 dynamic coaches and receivers on the staff. You get what I'm saying? And Lance would be a better receivers coach than Tony would be a receivers coach.
Yeah.
And Tony's also a really good running backs coach.
Yeah.
So, or if you're like, hey, I got a chance to get a real dynamic coaching, recruiting, receivers coach, Lance, you're going to stay at running back. That's when you have a coach with his flexibility, that's a great asset to have when it comes to putting your staff together, because you can just hire the best skill coach available.
Right.
And then Lance can fill it out. That's the thing I love I would love about it. I would absolutely love about it.
Carol Breeze with the super chat.
Cool
from
Breeze.
Canada.
Cool Breeze.
I said Carol. It's late for me.
Yep.
All right, Cool Breeze. Thanks, Matt. I could be a lady. I apologize. Thank you, Cool Breeze, for the super chat all the way north of the border. Great choice with Marcus for head coach, along with Tommy. Matt Stang. Thanks for keeping IB Nation informed with all the late breaking news. Go IB. Could not agree more. Could not agree more.
I'm just loving some of these things on Twitter that people are putting out. Like one of them was Marcus Freeman to Brian Kelly. It's that Rick James skit with Charlie Murphy on the Chappelle Show. What do the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap.
This is fantastic.
Great.
Gold 88 with the super chat. Thank you, Gold. Kelly, who? So excited. Go Irish.
I think that's the thing that made this a good hire, a great hire too, is, as I said, Vince, I've never seen the Notre Dame fan base more
seriously.
No, and credit to the couple lone wolves that we've had in our chat that are saying, like, I love that. Like,
that's fine.
You can go overboard, and they had to mute somebody earlier for going a little overboard, but like, it's okay to say, hey, look, I got major questions about this, because he's never been a head coach before.
That's okay.
And that's totally fine. But I even think those people recognize the fact that the potential there is, yeah.
No doubt. Tim Logan with the big super chat. Thanks, Tim. Really appreciate that. Will Claw with the super chat. So excited to see where Coach Freeman, Coach Reese, and Coach Bayless can take this team now and in the future. Hopefully, Chris Watt will join too. He's on my list. He's on my I wrote down like a short list of coaches that I'm wanting to cross off here, so they're putting them up here where I've got the coaches that have already said they're coming back. So yes, he is on my
and
list.
Again, I don't want to say that it's happening. It's just that I'm told that Notre Dame has reached out to him about it. Got Sean Davis joining us for the show. Sean, thank you so much for being with us, buddy. Let's get your reaction, Sean.
Oh, wow. I'll give you the short version.
Yeah, because we're already an hour and 13 in, man.
I'm ecstatic.
Right.
And let me tell you why I'm even more ecstatic, right? And I feel like this is checkmate for Notre Dame. Amidst everything that has happened, this is checkmate for Notre Dame. Brian Kelly tried to snake Notre Dame. He tried to pull a Lincoln Riley. He tried to take assistance. And I've shared this with you offline. I've heard this from multiple sources that the calls to the assistants happened before the call to Jack Swarbrick. And that right there, for me, was just it.
Explain that, Sean, so people, just in case people are uncertain of what you're talking about.
So what I'm talking about is that when Brian Kelly found out that he was going to be the next head coach, or he made the decision to leave Notre Dame, instead of his first call being to Jack Swarbrick and notifying his players of what he intended to do, his first 2 calls were to Tommy Rees and Marcus Freeman.
You can make that 3, because he also talked to Mike Elston.
And to try and get them to leave with him.
before Notre Dame had any knowledge that he was even leaving.
Absolutely.
That's massive.
Absolutely. And that right there, for everything that he tried to do to this university and to this football program, with his decision for Notre Dame to end up with all three of those coaches choosing to stay, having more money out there, another opportunity out there, choosing to stay and finish the job, with Marcus Freeman reportedly being the next head coach in Notre Dame, it is checkmate for Jack Swarbrick and Notre Dame in this situation. Brian Kelly pulled the chess move, trying to end the game, and he ended up losing. So now it's egg on his face, and he keeps making it worse. Every time he holds a press conference, every time he says anything, he makes it worse. And I continue to hear things. I can't substantiate it. I don't know if it's confirmed. I don't know if you guys have talked about it. I've had multiple people talk to me about the environment when he did talk to the team. And when the rest of the coaching staff or the coaches that were there were in the room, it was tense. I'll leave it at that. It was tense. And I don't know if there was blow-ups. I don't know. There was someone said players had to pull certain people apart. For everything that this man tried to do. You know what? A mutually beneficial relationship, when you leave it amicably, as it should have taken place with Brian Kelly, he should have gone to LSU, said thank you, and just allowed things to take its course. What he tried to pull, he tried to leave Notre Dame in worse shape. And that's for that, because you guys know I was on with you Monday night, and you know that I tried to advocate for why the decision was a good decision. I was on with both of you guys, and I advocated, you know what, Brian Kelly, I get it. No problem. Go ahead, make your move. I understand there's no bitterness, but in the days after, in the hours after, everything that we have learned that took place in this entire process, I am ecstatic with the outcome, and I am ecstatic that he is sitting down there in the South holding empty spots, trying to figure out who's going to be on his staff. And Notre Dame is in a place to move forward and go after the national title that we all want them to attain unto. And that right there, for me, those are my thoughts. That's it. When did I feel like it was going to happen? And I have to give credit to ESPN's Heather Dinich. When she reported early this morning that Jack Swarbrick did not go to the Jack Swarbrick is a power broker in that room.
No doubt. That's why they didn't get anything accomplished.
You're right, Vince.
Just saying.
You're right. He is a power broker in that room when it comes to CFP expansion. When he decided to forego that meeting this morning to stay back in South Bend, and you heard that he was meeting, at that point I said, okay, this is the real deal, because you don't forego that unless you're trying to hammer out,
and or at least you're very serious about Marcus. It was
Absolutely.
no kind of cursory interview or, well, we'll just kind of see, or we'll appease the players. You were being serious with this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Jack Swarbrick also called Marcus Freeman off the road as soon as Kelly left. He was the one coach that immediately came off the road. Tommy came back a day later, but Marcus was there, which is why he was there to address the team afterwards. I have to show one thing. I normally despise Twitter. You guys know that. I think Twitter is one of the worst inventions of all time. But I have to show this. I'm sorry.
I'm really curious to see
the shade being thrown at Brian Kelly is what I'm here for tonight. It says only one man can save LSU's defense now.
Wow.
Oh man.
And
That's great.
Let me just say this as well. Because as I was riding home,
up there for a little bit.
As I was riding home, I wanted to listen to the national media to get their spin. And immediately they played audio of Brian Kelly referring to and alluding to all of a sudden walking into just an incredible amount of resources and support and talent and all of this. And they played the audio, and immediately the host, which I won't mention because I actually respect both of these guys, immediately the hosts go to where Brian Kelly just said is that Notre Dame needs to get into a conference. And until they get into a conference, they won't win a national title. And I'm like, that is the most asinine take I've ever heard.
It's ridiculous.
Right.
From a piece of, how do you pull that from what has zero to do with conference affiliation? Absolutely nothing. And
that's what ESPN now is. I mean,
it is what it is. But it angers me because he's trying to put a stigma on Notre Dame while removing himself from the stigma.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to speak of Notre Dame over the past 12 years without including himself and being accountable for why it happened that way.
Right.
Like, we weren't able to get the job done. I wanted a new challenge. And I'm not the reason that we didn't get there.
Yeah, if he would have said, I've taken Notre Dame as far as I can take it.
Yes.
I'd have been, and it wouldn't have been a shot at himself. It's just like, I was ready for a new challenge. But it was sort of like, I took Notre Dame as far as it could go.
Yes.
And that's why we did the show we did today, Sean, which I'm sure you listened to. It was look, Notre Dame was not holding Brian Kelly back. Notre Dame spent over $1 billion in the last 8 years building up the facilities, and they're not done yet. I mean, Vince, you've talked about the stuff, the Goog that they're working on, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've spent over $1 billion. You know, he went out and was able to make Marcus Freeman one of the highest paid assistant coaches in college football last year.
Yeah.
Hired him from Cincinnati, right? And that's the thing that bothered me is a lot of the comments he made today were like, it was just kind of like little backhanded jabs at Notre Dame, like little pokes at Notre Dame. And it's like, man, anyway.
Like, dude, just move on.
Right.
Just move on. It's like someone breaking up and they tell you that everything's cool. And then they get around mutual friends the first opportunity that they get. And they have to say something negative about it.
Right.
And it's like, I thought we were cool. That's how Notre Dame feels right now.
Right.
Because initially, I think most of Notre Dame and the fan base felt like, okay, cool. It's been 12 years.
Right.
It's
got nothing but love for you. You got to do what you got to do.
We appreciate everything you did for the program because, as Jack Swarbrick said in his press conference, the program was broken when he got here.
He was.
Yeah.
It absolutely was. He was absolutely right.
Somebody asked me, go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
No, but so now for you to be saying these things on the back end, once you get down south and get to LSU, whether it's the way you talk to the players and alluded to certain things to have a good first impression, and then the way you spoke to the media today about Notre Dame and the program, it's like, you know what? I hope in the next 2 years we have to face them.
Oh my gosh! I almost want Brian Kelly to make the playoff now, and face Notre Dame.
And then, I think Pete Sampson wrote an article today about Notre Dame getting in and the momentum they would have because it seems like they're now the underdog darling of college football based upon certain things that have happened with Gary Barta's comments. And also them still being the number 6 in the rankings and everything that happened with Brian Kelly. It's a wonderful story. And then I saw a couple of writers from the SEC retweet the story and say, this is a horrible take. What is Notre Dame going to do but get blown out again? And I had to. I said, let me tell you something. You take Georgia and Alabama out of the conversation in a transitional year, one of the weaker teams we've had in the past 6 years, and we still will whoop everybody else in the SEC this year on a neutral field. Take away Alabama and Georgia. Everybody else, we spanked them. So you have the nerve to talk about us getting blown out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mississippi got blown out by Alabama. Georgia's blown out everybody this year. I'm just totally upset with the way certain people have tried to throw dirt on Notre Dame and how Brian Kelly, who you thought would be an advocate in his comments for what has been established through his work and the works of the players on the field, and the road he's chosen to go down, the rabbit hole he's chosen to go down, I'm thoroughly disappointed. Thoroughly disappointed. And for me, Vince, Brian, it's checkmate.
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier. And I'm sure the way Jack, as you said before, Jack Swarbrick was very monotone, even keeled, but you could tell deep down. You could tell from certain things he said, you could tell he was like, okay, I'm going to stick it to this dude.
I think that's true. Can I just read what somebody put on Twitter? Barstool Chief, I don't know who that is, but he said Brian Kelly's going to have to fill his coaching staff via ZipRecruiter.
I saw that at the exact same time you did.
I mean, Brian Kelly's going to have a fine staff. It's going to be fine. It's LSU, right? But I'm just loving the shade.
It's just not going to have a bunch of Notre Dame guys.
But let me
that
say
he
something
wanted.
else.
That's
Like in all seriousness,
Mhm.
this from a perception standpoint is huge for Notre Dame. That all these people that it was reported by all these different people and these national people that he offered Marcus Freeman, he offered Tommy Rees, he offered this coach, he offered that coach, and they all chose to stay at Notre Dame is going to be huge for Notre Dame to be able to use from a perception selling point on the recruiting trail.
And I'm glad.
Hey, look, I could have gone to LSU, right?
Yeah.
Top receiver. I could have gone to LSU, but I know what's at LSU. I know we're building here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care how much money I was offered. I took less money to stay at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Right. And which I think he probably will, but it's not going to be that much money. You know what I mean? It's like a 200,000 less.
Yeah.
Just something like that. I'm just like throwing it hypothetically.
Right. Exactly.
So I think those things are important. We're throwing shade at him and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of like, practically speaking, it is being reported by Mike Singer at BGI News that Lance Taylor will remain on the Notre Dame coaching staff.
Checkmate.
That is huge. Were you on when we were talking about Lance Taylor earlier, Sean, or had you joined yet?
No, I had not.
The point we made was the great thing about having a guy like Lance Taylor on staff is that he can coach receivers as good as he can coach running backs. So it gives you a lot more flexibility to go out and hire some other. Just hire the best skill guy available. And if it's a running backs coach, great. If it's a receivers coach, great.
Yeah.
And it's good. So, I mean, everyone that Freeman has wanted to keep so far, he's been able to keep. Now, there's still one big domino to fall, right? I feel like I'm watching like the presidential election and like they just called so-and-so for, your candidate.
Seriously.
You know what I mean?
That is exactly what it sounds like.
Right.
That is hilarious. Right. That is awesome. Right.
Sorry, I just couldn't.
That is that's
just like the feeling I have as I'm saying this. Like, oh, wait, hold on a second. We're now getting it. Florida has been called for,
This is the strangest coaching search situation that I've ever been a part of. Like, these are the most people from a staff that are sticking around. You know what I mean? Like, when a head coach leaves, he takes dudes with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that he won't, but the guys that he clearly wanted are not going. Like, that's so huge.
Well, so far.
Right.
So
granted, but he wanted Rees and Freeman. I mean, we know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I said, the next big one for me is Mike Elston. If he sticks around, it's 100% checkmate at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm with Sean on that one. Like, that would be the ultimate power play. Just that would be fantastic.
And Brian, I think we talked about this one of the shows maybe a month ago. And we were just speaking hypothetically. We were talking about if A happens, you give Mike Elston an informal discussion about the head coaching situation. You give the same informal to Marcus Freeman. And you do so because at the end, if you make the decision to go with Marcus Freeman, you want Mike Elston to feel like he's wanted and to stay around. And I don't know if that's how things worked out, but it was just funny that we actually talked about that on one of the shows. And I don't know how far out it was, but maybe we were anticipating a move coming from Brian Kelly during this season. I don't know how we got on that topic, but I just remember us talking about that. And it's just amazing that the way things have gone over the last 48 hours and the way they've transpired. Look, I'm not in South Bend, so it probably had to feel even different in South Bend. I've never seen anything like the response of current, former Notre Dame players, commits, recruits, fan base, anti-Kelly, Kelly apologists, all on one accord when it came to what should happen next for Notre Dame.
Right.
And the wave and the momentum that we saw on social media from tweets was absolutely amazing. I've never seen anything like it. And I said it earlier today. I do not envy being Jack Swarbrick because he was caught in between a rock and a hard place. Because there was no way he could ignore what was happening. And I know he still wanted to recognize that, but he still wanted to go through a process. I know he wanted to go through a process and make the right decision. Absolutely.
Sure.
But it was like he couldn't ignore what was going on, and he was like in between a rock and a hard place. And he knew either this decision has to be made soon, if it's going to be this guy, or I sit here and I wait until after the playoffs.
Right.
You know, for other candidates.
And I think from what go ahead, Vince.
I was just there's a couple super chats I wanted to throw up there, but go ahead.
While you're going to grab that real quick before we grab those, I do want to say this. I do think, from what I'm told, Jack Swarbrick was more than willing to wait till after the playoff if he felt that was the right move. So again, this was not a move that was made as a panic move or a giving into the players. I think that moved Jack Swarbrick, but Jack Swarbrick didn't get to where he got to in the world because emotional responses make him make big decisions. Right. So those things helped Marcus Freeman. And I've got some stories I'm hoping to be able to give the authority to tell soon. I haven't yet about that. But I mean, this was a move ultimately that, for all the stuff around it, was ultimately a move about this is what Jack Swarbrick thought was best for the future of Notre Dame football, the present and future of Notre Dame football.
Yeah, he's right.
And you need that. You need that. You don't make a decision like this if you're not 100% behind.
Right.
I got there's a couple of these I want to throw up, and then I'll go back up to the top or to where I was. But John Dalton with a super chat. Thanks, John. He said, with all the coaches staying, BK is looking like the scene from Varsity Blues when no one follows Kilmer out for the second half.
Yes.
I thought that was great.
Great call.
That was awesome. And then our buddy here, Tommy Guns, has a good one as well. And it kind of goes with something that Brian just sent us. Tommy, thanks for the super chat. He says, I just read that Pocky is staying at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I sent you guys that tweet. Somebody on another message board said, I was just told that Brian Kelly's wife has decided to stay in South Bend. That is harsh. You start bringing a dude's wife into it. I know, that's kind of harsh, but that's harsh, all,
but it's still funny.
But here we go. Everyone our age will remember this scene. It says Brian Kelly walking into his first LSU staff meeting. Okay, I'm getting all my pettiness out today because after today, I don't want to talk about Brian Kelly anymore, unless it's in the context of our analysis of the LSU football program.
Okay? Well, we decided while you were on the phone earlier that it was going to be he who should remain nameless. There was people that didn't even want to hear his name.
It's not even worth me coming up with that kind of fun thing. It's going to be talking about him as if I would talk about Ed Orgeron. He's the LSU head coach, and when it's pertinent to talk about LSU, we'll talk about Brian Kelly like we would anybody else. So I'm going to get all of it out now and have my petty moments now. And I'm just being honest with you. I'm being a little petty today, and we're going to move on. And
you know what? It is what it is.
Hey, what do you guys think about this? I actually credit Ed Orgeron. And what I mean by this, if it is true indeed that LSU and Brian Kelly have been communicating for weeks, as Jack Swarbrick said, and that throws in USC as well. He's been communicating with multiple programs for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very shrewd decision by Scott Woodward to allow Ed Orgeron to remain. It based upon what was happening, could have been very easy to just get rid of the stench of Ed Orgeron with everything that was going on with him personally. But he allowed him to stay, one, because he knew the players liked him. He knew the players would play for him. And it allowed stability, which in turn allowed them to come up with an impressive showing against Alabama on the road. Because if you're talking to LSU, you're watching their game.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
What's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you see them going to Tuscaloosa and have an opportunity to win and probably win that game if they have a better quarterback, and you see them come back and get a big win in that last game, that probably allows you to say, as a coach that's looking at the program, like, you know what? The talent is probably better than their record. And I don't think that happens if they go the interim route.
Right.
I think the season probably falls apart.
Yes.
So on Woodward's part, I think that was a shrewd move. You know, if he was looking to sell the program to certain coaches. And I'm not just saying it was Brian Kelly at that point. It was probably Lincoln Riley, Brian Kelly, and possibly some other people on that short list. So I have to give kudos to Scott Woodward for that, and properly selling the program by allowing Ed Orgeron to stay on as the head coach. That was smart on his part.
All right, I'm going to roll through some super chats because we're obviously way behind. Tim, thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tim.
Yep. Will, so excited to see where Coach Freeman, Coach Reese, and Coach Bayless can take this team now in the future. I think maybe I already read this one, but I'll read it again. Hopefully Chris Watt can join too. Here we go. This is where we were at. Corey D, thanks for the super chat, Corey. America's most polarizing team will win a title under Freeman and give everyone, including Kelly, the finger. The proverbial finger we'll go with. Hunter, our Cincinnati fan, thank the Lord. I am so happy. Also, huge congrats to Freeman. He deserves it. Just elated Fickle is staying home. See, it's win-win for everybody, Hunter. Win-win for everybody. You know what? And if Notre Dame's not in the playoff, man, I'll be a huge Cincinnati fan. There's no question. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
So thanks, Hunter. Really appreciate that. Eric with the super chat. Does the alignment of this staff align with the institution? Does its alignment fit the players? Seems like really great alignment. Good year doesn't do alignment this well. Okay, that's some serious trolling right there, Eric. And I'm here for it as well. Well done, Eric. Well done, sir. Travis with the super chat. Thanks, Travis. The committee cares about head coaches. Can't wait to be ranked number 2 on Sunday. But seriously, you guys rock. Oh, happy day. Thanks, Travis.
Thank you very much for that, Travis. Appreciate that very much.
No question. Tim Logan, thank you for the super chat, Tim. Urban Meyer can get his dream job.
His dream job just got filled.
Supposedly.
Unless we're talking about a different kind of dream job, with what Urban Meyer's been going through lately. I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, I just said that out loud.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Was that my outside voice?
Patrick Barnes, thanks for the super chat, Patrick. One thing I often when a coordinator becomes a head coach, they focus way too much on the side of the ball that they were used to coaching. Any worries? Freeman will focus too much on defense. That's a legit
I think
question.
That's a very legitimate question. I think it's going to depend. Number one, look, he's always going to be, especially at the age of 35. Veteran coaches have an easier time of giving up a side of the ball. Marcus is going to be very involved in the defense.
Yeah,
right?
He will be.
And he should, because he's one of the best defensive minds in college football.
Right.
I think this is also why you come out and say, you come out and you make the decision to keep Tommy Reese and keep Lance Taylor and keep John McNulty. So there's the continuity to where you don't have to bring in a new OC and now you've got to make sure that guy's doing things the way that you want them. They're going to know how Marcus operates because they've been going against him for the last year, So I think that there's a lot to that. So I think that is something that would look, it's just going to happen. And I think that's also why at least one more of the offensive coaches that Notre Dame hires needs to be someone who's got some experience. That would be something that's very important as well.
I agree.
I'm trying to confirm something here real quick, so just give me 1 second.
No, we'll keep rolling here. Q Kibbs with a super chat. Thanks. Will you guys be at the press conference? My plan is to be at the press conference, but it has not. We have not been given a day or a time, so TBA on that. But my plan overall is yes to be at the press conference. I like to be at. I don't want to say history making, but important things, right? And this to me feels very, very important. So I definitely want to be at it.
I would love to be at it, but I can't. So
right.
I won't be.
Ryan Feeks, thanks for the super chat. Ryan, BK is the losingest coach in ND history. We'll just let that lie.
Yeah. Look, what I don't want to do is that. And right. I get where you're coming from. But look, I've had a lot of beef with Brian Kelly over the years. Everybody knows that. I was the Brian Kelly hater is what I was called, right? Although sometimes I get called a Brian Kelly lover, which I never quite understood. But, there's all types of crazy people out there. But let's not act like Brian Kelly didn't do a lot of great things in Notre Dame.
No question.
Right? Like it was time for him to go. And I think Notre Dame's going to be better off because Marcus Freeman is the head coach and because of the coaches that are on staff. I think Tommy Rees is going to thrive by kind of being allowed to do what he and his staff want to do.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to act like Brian Kelly was like this stumbling block to Notre Dame being good. He was a stumbling block to them being a championship team. But Brian Kelly's also a part of the reason, not the only reason, but he played a big role in Notre Dame getting to where they've gotten to. And to the point where you can hire a Marcus Freeman. Because let's be honest about something. Brian, you do not hire Marcus Freeman to do what they hired Brian Kelly to do in 2009.
Correct.
You do not hire a 35-year-old first-time coordinator to rebuild a program in the dumps.
No question.
I don't think.
No.
I don't think you can do that. Brian Kelly built the program to where now Marcus Freeman can say, thank you, good sir. I'll take the baton here, and I'm going to finish the sucker off because I am the anchor of this 4x100 sucker.
Right.
And but I get the shade, and I like throwing the shade, and I'm having fun throwing the shade. But I also want to make sure that we're also making sure that we do give Brian Kelly, but that we give him the credit for the things he has done. I mean, look, let's be honest. He's the one that pushed for Marcus Freeman to be here as the defensive coordinator.
For sure. Yeah, no doubt.
Now, Marcus earned the right to become the head coach.
No doubt about that.
But he was able to earn it at Notre Dame because you don't hire Marcus Freeman if he's the D coordinator at LSU to be the head coach of Notre Dame, or the D coordinator at Cincinnati or Oklahoma or somewhere else to be the head coach of Notre Dame. The only way you can hire him as a coordinator is if he's on your staff.
Right. And you see him day in and day out, and you know what he's about.
Players can make the push for him that they make.
Yo, absolutely. And look, let's not minimize that, the player push, right? Because I think that was absolutely instrumental, or at the very least, part of the equation to bring Marcus Freeman in as the head coach. I mean, it was a groundswell of excitement and pushing for him. So I think that was definitely part of it.
Can I ask a question of you, Sean?
Yeah.
Do people in the media not know what happened like more than 5 years ago? I remember this of a tweet from someone at ESPN when they hired Boston Celtics' new head coach. The Associated Press just said Notre Dame is working on a deal to promote defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman to head coach to replace Brian Kelly. A person with knowledge of the situation said the 35-year-old would become the school's first black head coach. Are we just like completely forgetting about Tyrone Willingham being like, have we ignored that? Like, I mean,
wow.
Wow, that's just, what?
It wasn't even that long ago.
The Celtics had a black head coach in the 60s.
That's just someone that
they've had 3 black head coaches win championships. And then Ty Willingham was coaching Notre Dame in my lifetime.
He's on the college football playoff committee.
Yes.
He's still relevant. I mean, it's not like he just died or shuffled off.
This is why I get so annoyed with the national media. It's crap like this.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
was that a tweet that they put out?
Yeah. If you're going to tweet something like that,
quickly.
If you're going to tweet something like that, at least get it right.
Man.
Somebody responded, great fact checking, AP.
Yeah.
Somebody said Tyrone Willingham wasn't black.
That's crazy.
Here's a good one. One person says, apparently Tyrone Willingham doesn't exist, and somebody else responded, I take no issue with that.
Oh,
I think we probably would like to wipe him from Notre Dame history, unfortunately.
Like, yeah, you know what? I'll go with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. First black head coach of Notre Dame. Cool.
wow. Just wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Jacob
goodness
with the
gracious.
super chat. I feel a natty or two coming. Feel like we get Devin Moore back in the fold. ?
I don't know what they're going to do with Devin Moore. Devin Moore was leaning away from Notre Dame before. Like, he did an in-home visit with Florida the before Brian Kelly left. So that was kind of one of those ones that was already kind of, they were going to have to fight to keep him. Now, will they try to keep him? I don't know the answer to that. I honestly would not. I'm at a point where I just want to say, okay, it's you're either with us or you're not thing, and like, I'm loving the commits that were like, you know what? I love Notre Dame. I'm going to sit back and let this thing play out first.
Right.
As opposed to the ones who used it as an opportunity to say, hey, look, I've been wanting to get out. Now I have a reason.
Right.
And I love Devin Moore as a player. Right. But I just kind of feel like this is culture setting time for Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd be okay if they were like, hey, we love you, Devin. If you want to come back in, you got to come after us. But we're not, you made your choice. If you want to be back with us, you can be back with us. But we're not coming after you. So that's
this is a great super.
Oh, here we go. Oh, okay, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Is it checkmate?
They just called Texas for somebody. Okay, here we go. Mike Elston just tweeted, Notre Dame is home. 12 years and counting. Let's ride, fellas.
Are you kidding? He put it. He announced it himself.
Mike Elston just did it again.
He announced it himself. Yep. Dang, I love that man. So I got to write him up here now.
So now every coach that Brian Kelly pushed for and threw big money at is staying at Notre Dame. So that is big news for Notre Dame. Big news for Notre Dame.
Hey, Brian, let me get an Ed Orgeron run. Give me an Ed Orgeron run right
Go
there.
Tigers.
Yeah.
I got it. Go Irish. All right. We try to keep it professional here and not be a fan show. But you know what? Today, we're going to have some fun tonight, folks. I hope you all understand that we're having fun tonight. Our shows are normally very much more X's and O's and analysis and
professional.
And keeping it objective, professional. But we're having some fun tonight, okay? I've been doing this. I've been on YouTube for about 37 hours the last 5 days. We're going to have a little bit of fun tonight, okay?
No doubt about that.
But in all seriousness, that's a huge victory. Because think about it. Let's think about something, okay? Mike Elston was with Brian Kelly for 18 straight seasons.
Yeah.
He went from Central to Cincinnati, from Cincinnati to Notre Dame.
Yep.
He was with him for 8. And this isn't a shot. Mike Elston's got nothing but love for Brian Kelly.
Sure.
This is not a screw you, coach moment for Mike Elston. This is my home. I see us doing great things here. And I want to coach with Marcus.
Yeah.
If he didn't have respect for Marcus Freeman, he's not staying. So this is a big one for Notre Dame, because it just says a lot about how a person like Mike Elston, who's one of the vets, and again, Mike Elston has been Brian Kelly's right-hand man for a long time. You talk about how's a 35-year-old first-time head coach going to be successful? Keeping Mike Elston on your staff, because nobody understands the ins and outs of Notre Dame more than Mike Elston. So this, beyond just the D-line and the recruiting, maybe he's going to be the D coordinator, I don't know. But this is a big move for Marcus Freeman as a head coach.
Right.
Because Mike Elston gets all the responsibilities that come with being a head coach. Even though he's never done them all himself, he's done a lot of the things. He knows what Brian Kelly's had to deal with. He's going to help make that transition smoother. Yep. And I was told that Tommy Rees, so this, I can now say this because he's accepted the job. I was told earlier that Tommy Rees and Marcus Freeman went to Jack Swarbrick and told Jack Swarbrick, whatever we have to do to keep Mike Elston, we've got to keep Mike Elston. I didn't want to put that out earlier just because I wanted to see how it played out, but that's what I was told.
That's leadership 101.
They both went to Jack and said, we've got to make this happen.
That's leadership right there, Brian. To have the stones to go in to Jack Swarbrick's office and say, look, we need to do whatever we need to do to make this happen. We need to do it. Like that's leadership, man. And I'm here for that, man. I am here for that. All right. Let's get back to some super chats, Sean, unless you got something you want to add.
No, let's do it.
Okay, baby. Here
Checkmate.
we go. Terrence, yeah, I know, right? Hashtag checkmate. That's going to be my hashtag for the rest of the night. All right. Terrence and Ashley Bergen, I just got here. Can you start over? Take note. This is why you have to hit the notification bell. Thank you for the super chat, guys. Really appreciate that. But that is hilarious. That is awesome. Thank you very much. That is really funny. Han Solo with the super chat. Thanks, Han. The Power 5 and Group of 5 are about to start sweating bullets. Yeah.
Now that is very true, and that goes to something that I know both of you guys have said over and over again on multiple times on the podcast. This is what a lot of big time programs fear, is Marcus Freeman getting this job at Notre Dame. And can I tell you something? I actually talked about this with my guy earlier today. And when you look at this, it's fair to say that Marcus Freeman believes in the Notre Dame brand more than Brian Kelly did.
I agree completely. You're muted, brother.
Muted.
I hit the unmute button. I don't know what's going on with this.
You muted yourself twice. That's
seriously double muted. Anyone that's talked to Marcus Freeman or knows people around Marcus Freeman knows that that's true. That's part of the reason he pushed so hard for this job, from what I'm told, is he fell in love with Notre Dame. Like the stuff he told Chris Zorch, the stuff he told me, talking to people that know him, they're like, no, that's like Marcus is a savvy guy. He's a lot more savvy than maybe your typical 35-year-old. Yeah. And Sean, you've been told this. I mean, he knows how to work a room, right? Yeah. I've been told that he absolutely fell in love with Notre Dame and just the type of kids that they can recruit, but not just that, the opportunities that Notre Dame can provide kids. He looks at it differently, that it's not just about let's look for the kids that have already the Notre Dame DNA. Let's bring some kids that we think maybe don't realize they're Notre Dame kids yet. Exactly. And what Notre Dame can do for those kids. Yes. I feel like that's different than what Brian Kelly did. Because it's because he understands that what Notre Dame can provide for these young people. And I think that's a big part of it as well, beyond just, what they can do for Notre Dame, what Notre Dame can do for them. And that doesn't mean he's not going to recruit the Kyle Hamiltons. Of course you recruit those kind of guys, right? But we're going to see some of these other type of kids where Marcus would say, let's give this kid a chance, because I think with us, he could thrive because he knows what Notre Dame is all about. And I think that's big. I think this is real big.
I think the way he came in immediately. Salesmen have one of the toughest jobs in the world, right? They wake up every day and their whole livelihood is based upon getting other people to want their products. There's no better person you want at the helm, in my opinion. Of course, I'm biased. I'm going to continue to be biased. But the best product to have to sell in all of college football is Notre Dame. There's no better product to sell to any teenager that's sitting on the couch in his living room with his parents. There's no better product to have next to you to sell than Notre Dame for the rest of their life. And it's nice to have somebody that believes in it fully.
No doubt.
Like, without excuse. No excuses. This is what Notre Dame is, and it's the best thing that could ever happen to you. And that's for 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, whatever star you have. If you create a 6-star,
right,
you can go get those guys because you have the best package that they can have for the rest of their lives. And you have to believe that if you're going to be a salesman. If you're going to be the guy at the head of this program, you have to believe that there's no one out there, no other program that can make your life better for your future than Notre Dame. That's it, on and off the field. And I'm glad he's the one that's going to be making that pitch for the foreseeable future.
So can I say something here real quick?
No.
There's always been a lot. Okay, it's my show, so I'm going to say it anyway. I was trying to be polite, okay? There's always been a lot of talk about Notre Dame doesn't do what they need to do financially and all those kind of things. And let me just say that Brian Kelly threw a lot of money at Marcus Freeman, Tommy Rees, and Mike Elston. Now, of course, it makes sense that Marcus Freeman's going to turn it down because he's going to be head coach, right?
I mean, that's yeah.
He threw a lot of money at those guys, and those guys have decade-long relationships with Brian Kelly. Tommy Rees didn't come back to Notre Dame as a GA and then a coach because he dislikes Brian Kelly, but just wants to be at Notre Dame that bad.
Right.
He has a good relationship with Brian Kelly. It's a lot of respect there. Mike Elston didn't follow Brian Kelly for 18 years and turn down good jobs just because he wanted to keep his kids in South Bend. Now, was that a part of it? Sure. But there's also a lot of respect for Mike Elston. Okay. And for them to stay at Notre Dame, it says not only a lot about their love for Notre Dame and belief in Marcus Freeman and what they can all do together. It says that Notre Dame stepped up financially. You don't, if you're Mike Elston and Brian Kelly offers you a D coordinator job at what, and I have been told, I'm not as comfortable with that number that I was given, so I'm not going to say it, but it was big. And he offered $2 million a year to Tommy Rees. They don't turn that down for a man that they respect and have been with both for like a decade. Mm-hmm. If Notre Dame didn't also step up financially.
Yep.
Right.
And so Notre Dame stepped up to the plate today in many, many ways. And that's why this staff is staying together.
But they don't have the resources, Brian.
Of course not.
They don't have the resources.
It was always Notre Dame standing in Brian Kelly's way, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So just for a recap, there are 10 assistant coaches on a staff, correct? So Notre Dame had 10 assistant coaches. As of right now, we have confirmation that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those assistant coaches are back, one of which is now the head coach. Right? I mean, that's saying something. And I think 3 of those guys, one I think is going to go anyway with Brian Kelly or off on his own. And I don't know about the other 2, but I don't think that they would have been asked back. Yeah. Potentially. Just I'm speculating.
Well, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't. I mean,
I'm speculating. Whatever. But they brought 6 of those people are still on the staff. That's unheard of.
Yeah,
I know. Tommy Rees thinks very highly of Del Alexander. I mean, in all seriousness, he thinks very highly of Del Alexander. So maybe he stays too. I hope not, with all due respect. But I could see something like that. But and again, Marcus Freeman chose Chris O'Leary. That's who Marcus Freeman wanted. I would imagine that Chris O'Leary is going to say too. Again, this is now me, Vince, and Sean giving our opinions. Right. I would imagine. So that's a lot of continuity, and I think that's important. That's very important. And now you've bring in the new faces, and those guys are going to be elevating. And if they bring Chris Watt back, and Sean, you weren't here. We reported earlier that I was told that Notre Dame, as of yesterday, had reached out to Chris Watt about possibly coming back as the O-line coach. I also would like to reiterate that Harry Hiestand still lives in South Bend, meaning if Chris Watt's the new O-line coach, you're going to have a similar relationship with him and Harry Hiestand that he had when he was the GA last year. So it's a lot of continuity.
Yeah.
A lot of continuity.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. To keep a program going, you need as much continuity as possible. Marcus Freeman staying and bringing in 10 new assistant coaches, I'm still happy about it, but I'm not as fired up about the immediate future at Notre Dame.
Right.
Keeping now, what is this now? 5 of the other 9 assistants, right, is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And none of them are the ones I didn't want to stay. So it's
right.
Yeah.
You know,
that was the point I was made. You made it much more eloquently than I did, but that's the point I was trying to make. Like, he's keeping all so far the ones that we all wanted to see back. And by we all, I mean the 3 of us and probably everybody over here in the chat for the most part. Wanted back.
Yeah.
And that's huge. That is huge. You don't see continuity stay this strong when a head coach leaves.
Right.
You just don't see that. And it's pretty amazing to me. Okay, jumping back in because we have a long way to go. Riza, thank you for the super chat. If we win a game in the postseason playoff for New Year's 6, hype is going to get insane in the offseason, more so than it already is. Can't wait. Not wrong, Riza, and thank you for the super chat. You're not wrong. And like I said, our shows in December and beyond just got a lot more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it.
Big Dustin, thanks for the super chat. Will most recruits stay? And who could start at quarterback? Love the show. Thanks for everything. Go Irish. Can't wait for 2022. I assume he's referring to who's going to start at quarterback in 22, not in
there's
4
only one
weeks.
quarterback that's going to start for Notre Dame.
That's
in
correct.
Part of the 2021 season. It's number 17.
That's right.
So I just had someone text me that Notre Dame is showing Brian Kelly who's the boss. Freaking love it. Oh, will most recruits stay? Yeah. So here's what I was told. Let me find this text. Here we go. So I was told, sorry, I just did the thing while I was searching, which I always tell Vince not to do. My apologies. I was told this. I was texted this 2 days ago, and it was this. Apparently the recruits are in a group chat, and when the news came out, obviously there was an emotional reaction, and some of them are like, I'm going to decommit, and there were some leaders in the group that said, hey, stay. Let's just see what happens. Because the thought amongst is, well, what if then it's like, well, look, maybe Coach Freeman gets the job. And then so like they all agreed to stay except for the one exception, which again was already kind of in the works.
Right.
Let's be honest. And it came down to, the Coach Freeman thing. Right. And so what I was told is of the kids that were still in the class, if Coach Freeman got the job, I mean, you saw Junior Tuihalamaka tweeting out, we want the Freeman era and all that kind of stuff. Josh Burnham was doing it. Ziegler was doing it. Holton Stace, Eli Raridan were doing it. They're flipping tight ends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So what I was told is that the kids in the class, other than the ones who are already wavering, Devin Moore, CJ Williams, Amorian Walker, other than those kids, that if Freeman got hired, that this class was going to stay together, and that's who they wanted to stay to. And I'm already seeing some reactions on Twitter tonight from some of them. They're pretty fired up too. So yes, I do believe the class for the most part will stay intact. I do think there will be defections, but we were concerned about defections before this whole thing started.
Right.
I mean, CJ Williams and Amorian Walker, we were already concerned about.
And I will also say that I have faith, and I don't have any rock hard proof or any names to give, but I also have faith that Marcus Freeman's going to get in a couple of living rooms and get some additional people to commit, whether that's on the offensive side, whether, whatever. I'm telling you, I have a feeling that that's going to be the case. And again, the
other thing too is they may just decide they don't want to add anybody, and they would like to use the transfer portal to fill those spots. I mean, that's the new dynamic working in college football. Where you can say, if you lose a commit late, instead of scrambling around maybe for a kid that you're not super fired up about, you say, hey, look, let's just hit the transfer portal and find that guy. So that's changed everything. I mean, the transfer portal in a lot of ways has really changed everything. So, but the point is, Vince, that's still getting guys. Your point still stands. They will go out and find new guys. It just may not be, just may not always be high school kids is what I was.
I'm just excited for Marcus Freeman to have his hand on the offensive side now. You know what I mean? Let's see what he can do.
I think part of it is he's going to do, look, here's the thing. He's going to do with Tommy Rees what he wanted Brian Kelly to do with him in the defense, which is let me bring in the staff and let me recruit the kids that I want. And of course, as the head coach, he's always going to have a role in it. Right. But I don't think he's going to walk in there and be like, all right, Tommy, here's what I want you to run. Here's what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
Here's what I want you to recruit. It's like, you tell me who you need me to call.
Right.
Right. Hey, CJ Williams, I'm coming.
He's going to be
available tomorrow. Right.
He's going to be available at a drop of a hat to go and deal with recruiting issues.
Exactly. 100%. 100%.
Cullen Turner, thanks for the super chat. Cullen just joined the boards today and can't wait to order my first piece of Irish Breakdown gear. Congrats to Coach Freeman. Hashtag new era.
I got a couple new things going out. My wife was going to have them done today, but this whole website thing going slow because everybody's jumping on board kind of. She's been a little bit single mind focused, but I did show the let it play out things the other day. So we're going to have those up here very soon as well. So we're going to have the let it play out.
Spark 5219.
I may do like I'm gonna have to ask permission for it, but I may have to do something Freeman related on there. We'll see. We'll have to see.
Yeah, Freeman era. Yeah, something like that.
We'll see.
Time to pour a dram of Jameson celebrating the Marcus Freeman era at Notre Dame. My nerves are shot. Thanks for your fantastic coverage. You guys are the best.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, my nerves are pretty shot too, man. I'm with you on that one. From doing the shows and just following everything, and then everybody that I know who knows I do this job, whether it be at school or whether it be whatever, it's like texts and calls. And I know Brian deals with that probably tenfold of what I do, and same with Sean. But it's just like, my nerves are frayed too, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I mentioned something the other day too about Logan Diggs possibly transferring. And I was hearing a lot of smoke on that. And part of the reason was that initially the reports were that Brian Kelly was taking Tommy Reese with him. Logan Diggs really likes Tommy Reese, and
good.
Tommy Reese really likes Logan Diggs. So I could see this potentially being the thing that keeps Logan Diggs here. It's not a guarantee. I know he's been homesick, but I think this gives Notre Dame a much better chance to keep Logan Diggs on the roster as well. So that's
I thought he was tweeting out today.
He was tweeting out some stuff after the announcement that Tommy Reese and Marcus Freeman was hired. Because remember, he was responding to because he was thinking of transferring during the season. Louisiana kid, wasn't playing a snap.
Sure.
Understandably thinking about transferring.
Yeah.
And then of course he starts playing, but even then it was like he's still homesick and all that kind of stuff. But like Tommy Reese, when he was making in season recruiting visits during the bye week, he went and saw Logan Diggs' mom. Right. Like that's a savage move right there.
Yeah, it is.
And so I think that helped the relationship with mom. Mom has Notre Dame's back. She will, but if Tommy Reese is the guy that you think has your back and he's going to go to LSU, then
right. I'm
from Louisiana, and so I think Tommy Reese staying and Lance Taylor staying are going to be two things that should really be factors in the favor of Notre Dame being able to try to keep him on the roster.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Stephen Miller. Does the committee see this huge new energy as a reason to put Notre Dame in the playoff if two teams ahead of us lose? I think it takes away they don't have a head coach argument.
Well,
right?
Let me read something that Gary Barta said last night. Okay, so Gary Barta said last night in the show that Notre Dame's ranking last night was not affected by the Kelly leaving. He said it was strictly on the games, and it makes sense. Look, they no top 25 wins. We talked about it last night. Sure. Makes sense why Oklahoma State jumped them. And if it didn't happen this week, it was going to happen next week. But he did say that the committee he said, once the championship games wrap up, our protocol does include the ability for the committee to consider a player or coach not being available. Okay. And then he went on to say, there might be one committee member who thinks, hey, this team might be more motivated with the new head coach. Or I've seen games where a quarterback who starts or running back that starts, they put in the next person and the team actually plays better. So it's a piece of information that the management group has said the committee is able to use, but all 13 members may end up using it slightly differently when they place their vote. So you're absolutely correct. I mean, Notre Dame players are like, put us in, right? Like we want a piece of this, right? We're ready to go. Yeah. So hey, Sean, I know you got to leave here soon. So do you want to leave us with any parting words before we wrap up the rest of these super chats?
Yes, man. It's going to be very interesting to see how things play out in the weeks to come. I'm very interested in seeing what happens this weekend. Very interested in seeing whether it's a New Year's Six or college football playoff. I just want to see how Notre Dame uses this momentum, what they look like in the bowl game, and how that parlays over into recruiting and solidifying the next two classes and starting on the class of 2024 and how everything builds. I agree with, I forget who it was. I think this might be the most and highly anticipated and attended spring game in a long time. Mm-hmm. I really do. And I think you'll start to see a lot more of former Notre Dame players around the program, a lot more than they've been. Like you see them at pro days, you see them at certain big time games. I think you're about to see their presence even more, with how things look like they're going. So I'm excited.
Appreciate you being with us tonight, Sean.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Thanks, Sean. Good to see you, brother.
You guys take care.
It was funny he said that about the spring game. Kyle Brenza tweeted this out earlier. He said, if Freeman is hired as head coach and Tommy is retained as OC, the spring game is going to be packed with alumni like never before. There has been a vibe that a lot of alums didn't feel respected or appreciated by Notre Dame and Brian Kelly. It's not just Brian Kelly. It's also, just the football operation and the athletic department as a whole. Obviously the head coach has a part of that, but it sounds like, with Tommy Reese being back and you're going to start and Marcus Freeman being the head coach, I think that's going to be something they're going to make a push for.
Well, and look, Tommy Reese is going to have he's got a bigger role now. Right. He's not Brian Kelly's guy. He's the offensive coordinator.
Right.
And obviously he got a raise out of this, right? So I mean, and he's going with Marcus Freeman into Jack Swarbrick's office, and he's telling them that they need to bring in Mike. Like, he clearly has taken a major step up from a responsibility standpoint within this program, right?
Right.
And I think, being up front and front row center for his maturation process as an assistant coach at Notre Dame, he's ready for that next step. And I'm very interested to see how this works out. You know what I mean? Like, with him being kind of, I'm not saying he's going to be Marcus Freeman's right-hand man. I'm not going to go that far because I don't know the relationship and all that. But right now, over the last 12 hours, it feels that way. You know what I mean? Because they're kind of linked together. And I love it, man. I think it's fantastic. I think he's has the ability to be a very dynamic guy as well, whether it's a recruiting trail, whether it's in interviews, whether it's whatever. I'm just saying, I think this could be really good for the program. And you talked about it with the alumni. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's exciting. Jeffrey DeMunk, thanks for the super chat. I'm a Freeman fanatic. I can't wait for Freeman to get a natty and statue before that guy at LSU can't sleep and have to be at work at 3:30 a.m.
Yeah, Jeff, you're going to be tired running your route today, man. So lots of coffee to stay up awake while you're driving the truck, my man.
Man,
yeah, it's going to be
rough.
It's going to be
That's rough. Yeah, caffeine up, my friend. Michael Peak, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Same with M. Stace, 1987. 87, that was a good year.
Vince, where are you right now, time-wise?
9:34.
Okay, wow. Okay, let's roll.
I know. I'm trying. Blood of Zeus. Love the hire. Let's go. Just curious, do you think BK going to LSU was caused more by Mel Tucker and Franklin's new deals? Or BK's supposed fallout with Jack Swarbrick?
I wouldn't say Brian Kelly had a fallout with Jack
I don't think
Swarbrick.
so either.
I think that Brian Kelly had gotten to the point where he felt unappreciated. And now he shouldn't have, because he should be fortunate. He should feel appreciative that Jack Swarbrick didn't fire him 5 years ago, when a lot of ADs put it like this: he's not surviving a 4-8 season at LSU. Can we all agree on that?
Absolutely.
Okay? So I don't think it was a fallout as much as he didn't feel he was being respected for what he's done and being compensated correctly for what he's done. Now, just because Michigan State did all that money doesn't mean Notre Dame should have to jump into this thing of paying a guy that's not won a championship $9.5 million. So I get all that. I think that it was so his whole. I think, did we talk about it earlier? His whole frustration began kind of early in the season. Brian Kelly, I was told somewhere around the Wisconsin game, went to Jack Swarbrick and said, I'd like to rework my contract and get a raise. And Jack Swarbrick's response, something along the lines of, "We just did that, after the 2020 season."
Yeah.
And so it was rebuffed, right? Like, we paid you, we extended your contract last year for taking your team to the playoff. Now we're still in September and you want to redo it again. Well, then when Mel Tucker and James Franklin got those contracts, especially James Franklin, who
has done nothing.
Yeah, it's done nothing.
I mean, let's be honest.
Right. 11 wins in the last 2 years. I mean, for a short, but they played 9 games last year,
but
right?
Still,
I mean, they went 4-5. It's not like they only played 2. They weren't like Stanford that went 4-2. They played 9 games. And so I think there was a frustration there. Brian Kelly just kind of, I'm ready for a new challenge and a new financial challenge. But I think he felt underappreciated. So I think it was because of those deals more so than any sort of fallout. Like, if Jack Swarbrick would have given him what he wanted, then Brian Kelly still be the head coach of Notre Dame.
Sure.
So there was no fallout that caused him to leave. It was just the fallout was Jack's not going to pay you what you think you should get paid.
There you go. Rouse Productions jumping in. Thanks for the super chat. Now that Freeman is in, can you share the scoop on what you were hinting at yesterday about the relationship between Fickell and Freeman?
Let's just say Luke Fickell did not handle Marcus Freeman leaving Cincinnati for Notre Dame very well. And the manner in which he responded to Marcus Freeman when he took that job
was not professional.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
It just was a not cool way of
yeah,
instead of being, "Hey man, like congrats on your success, buddy. I'm going to hate to miss you. Is there any way I can get you to stay?"
Right.
You're going from a group of 5 to one of the institutions in college football, an institution that Luke Fickell clearly had interest in becoming the head coach for. And I was told by multiple sources that Luke Fickell was interested in Notre Dame job, but he wanted to see the season through for Cincinnati. And that made me gain a lot of respect for Luke Fickell, that he was not willing to take this Notre Dame job if offered. And he was never offered the job, but take this job if offered because he wanted to see the season through. There's another guy that came to Notre Dame that was not willing to do that. Now it's different. There wasn't a championship on the line like this one, but still,
right. It was just a New Year's Six type bowl.
Yeah, it was a Sugar Bowl. It was the biggest game in your program's history.
Oh, so not close,
right?
Yeah.
But you know, kind of understand that one a little bit.
Yeah.
The point is just it didn't get handled well, and it lingered longer than it should. It wasn't like I'm ticked for 2 days and hey man, look, I'm sorry that didn't really happen. So. I don't think that was received well, and that bridge was burned because of the manner in which Luke Fickell responded to it. Yeah. I mean, I was told flat out that if Luke Fickell got the job, I was told this by somebody texted me today, and I was like, man, you're the third person telling me that. He took it like, oh, sorry. I'm like, no. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant like it's clearly being, you know, like I'm confirming what you told me because other people told me. That's what I meant by that. But I had multiple people tell me that because there was this thing like, well, you know, maybe you could have Fickell and Freeman. And I don't know this, but I'm sure that Marcus Freeman made that very clear to Jack Swarbrick that wasn't an option.
And look, and that's not him being petty. That's him being honest.
Right.
You know, if
it wasn't him that burned that bridge.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Bronx ND fan next up in the queue. Thanks, Bronx. Happy day. Can't wait for the Freeman press conference. I'm with you. I'm really fired up for that because I have a feeling I'm going to want to run through a wall or something like that. I have a
feeling there's a better chance it's going to be tomorrow now that it's out there.
Yeah, I think I'm really hoping to get an email from Sports Information before I go to bed.
Yeah. So you may just want to call off tomorrow because even if they don't have the show, we're still gonna have a happening show tomorrow that you're gonna want to be a part of.
You're not wrong. So. You're not wrong. Luckily, everything's digital now. Okay, Eric, thank you for the super chat. Notre Dame should schedule an FCS opponent during conference championship weekend for that 13th data point.
Yeah, I made a tweet about that last week. Somebody, who was it? It was Danny Cannell, I think, said something like Notre Dame should schedule BYU, and I was like, no, they should schedule Mercer, Prairie View A&M, Southwest Missouri State. And I started naming all the FCS schools that the teams that were in the top 10 had scheduled and played.
Yeah.
And I think the message was received. Some received it. Other people, no, of course,
because that would have been great.
Other people didn't quite get it. And there was a lot of no, Notre Dame should never play a team like that. And I was like, yeah, I don't think
not the point. Not the point.
Got the joke.
Ronnie, thanks for the super chat. Super chat from my mom. I got her hooked on your show. She loves her Irish and made sure I did. She hates BK and says in Freeman we trust. Go Irish. What's up, Ronnie's mom?
Love it.
Thanks for hanging with us.
Love it. Absolutely.
That's great,
absolutely, man. Ronnie's mom. We love you being on board, and she hates BK and Freeman Trust. I'm digging it. Thank you, Ronnie's mom, for that super chat. And
it's great.
And good on you, Ronnie, for giving your mom a shout out and getting her question asked. So,
yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. M. Stace, let's go. We got the guy we need. Hope Kelly gets a side of IBS with that gumbo. Well, we don't want to wish him physical harm. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come
on. What's up?
What?
Okay.
I
read that incorrectly. Yes. No, I don't.
Okay. Fair enough. Ted, thanks for the super chat. Can we go ahead and schedule a live show tomorrow to discuss the recruiting implications of the Freeman hire for 22 and 23?
I mean, I don't know if there needs to be a whole show on that, Ted. I mean, I think this is going to put Notre Dame in great position to keep the current recruiting class and continue to build. I mean, Keon Keeley was just offered by Ohio State. He was offered by Georgia last week. I mean, there's a lot of schools coming after him. This is keeping Elson and Freeman is going to be a huge part of that, right? I mean, those guys wanted to play for them when they were just the D coordinator, D line coach. And we've said this before, not a lot of kids come to Notre Dame to play for Brian Kelly. And that's not a knock on Brian Kelly. That's just kind of how the Notre Dame staff recruited, because that's the direction that Brian Kelly wanted in the recruit. Brian Kelly was the one that just said, hey, we don't want to We don't want to recruit kids to come play for this coach or that coach. We want them to come to Notre Dame because of what Notre Dame stands for. So, I think that is why I believe that was a smart decision, and it ended up working out for them. But I think that they'll keep it together, and this gives them a chance to continue to finish strong, because one of the concerns, one of the things that teams were doing to recruit negatively against Notre Dame with Marcus Freeman was, hey, he's not going to be there your whole 4 years. Like, that guy's going to be a head coach somewhere soon. You don't want to go there because you're going to be there 2 years, and then you're going to be stuck without, and that was true. I mean, if he didn't become the head coaching at Notre Dame, he in the next year or two, he was going to be gone. So this obviously is huge because you can't use that. You can't use that anymore against them. So this is big. This is big from a recruiting standpoint. We'll do a show on it as we get down the road, and we'll kind of do something where when we have a little bit more idea of, okay, here's who we're going to go after and those kind of things. So we'll be able to do that.
John Long says, play the Reese video. I don't know if you're looking it up right now.
I am. I'm trying to find it now. Yeah.
All right, cool. It's worth not the 90 seconds, I would say.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I'm just trying to, give me 1 second. I'm going to put it back here. I'm going to play it up there. Got to share it.
Technology.
I know, right? I have way too many tabs open. I just realized.
Well, you are. I would say kindly, you are multitasking during this show.
Yes,
for good reason.
Here we go. Okay,
there it is.
It's on Twitter. Saying, all right, and I just wanted to tell you guys that in person. And I love you guys. I love this place. I believe that we can win a national championship here, and I'm committed to doing everything we can to get to that point. I know it's been a hell of a week for you guys. It's been a hell of a week for a lot of us that are part of this place. But this is where my heart is. My heart's with you guys. I care too much to leave this place. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to win a national championship. And I want to be able to tell you guys in person. I know Twitter and all that happens, but I wanted to be able to get in front of you, tell you guys that, so you guys knew it. Now, some of you might be happy, some of you might be pissed. I don't know. But the most important thing to me was that you guys heard from me up front, and that you guys had confidence in it going forward. Okay, I can't tell you guys anything else about what's going on. That's all I can tell you. But I appreciate you guys coming in on short notice. We have work to do this year. We got a lot ahead of us. And for the guys that are coming back, let's go win a national championship here at Notre Dame. Everybody good? Yes, sir. I can't answer any questions or else I would. All right, guys. But I love you guys. This is where I want to be. And let's go win it all. Cool?
And I believe he went right over to his quarterbacks right after that as well, and they all started hugging him and everything. So
right.
Definitely a cool moment, and I love that they put that out there like that.
There's a couple things in there that made he's like, let's win a championship at Notre Dame.
Right.
I wanted to meet with you guys in person before it got out.
That's a really good point.
Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe that's just a coincidence.
Still felt good to me. I don't care. I'm going to take that win where I can get it. Corey with the super chat. Thank you very much, Corey. Who were the coaches that Jack called, and what coaches called Jack that were interested in the Notre Dame job? I've always said Notre Dame is the most highly coveted job.
Other than Matt Campbell and Luke Fickell, I'm not going to put those other names out there just because they never went anywhere. It was just conversations, and I don't know.
And that might not be fair.
The people I've talked to have not given me the okay to do that, right? But there were a couple coaches that said they weren't interested. They were happy where they were, and kudos to them. But a couple veteran coaches. But yeah, there was. I've been given a list of at least 7 guys that Jack at least had some initial conversation with. Sometimes just putting a feeler out. Some of it's like, hey, would you be interested if we pursued you? But the only person that I'm confident that he definitely had a legitimate conversation with, for sure, that I can say is Fickell.
Fair enough. Chris G with the super chat. Awesome hire. We'll be even more pumped if Marcus Freeman can entice Notre Dame fans to stop selling tickets to opposing fans. That's a great one right there.
But can we say something real quick, though? That's one of the problems with being at Notre Dame for 12 years and just kind of people feeling like you've peaked as a program. Stale.
Yeah, it gets
Yeah,
stale.
there's not that same excitement. Where next year it's like, okay, let's see what Marcus Freeman can do. Now he's got to live up to it. That's a
No
big part of
question.
it. But
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
No question. Jacob has a good question here and a super chat. Thank you, Jacob, for a very casual college football fan. Why is this such a good hire for Notre Dame?
Very good question. Okay,
Fantastic
couple
question.
things. Number one, I'm going to talk kind of big picture first. I believe, and I've said this before, when you talk about coaches, some coaches just have the chops and they don't. And what does that mean? When you say, well, you got either got the chops or you don't. Okay, let me finally explain what that means. The chops when it comes to being a great football coach. We're going to talk about the obvious football related things, right? You've got to be a really intelligent coach. You've got to know the game. The game's got to come natural to you. You have to be able to react on the fly. You have to be able to think ahead. You have to be able to know the game so well and your opponent so well that you're always one step ahead of them. That's what the great coaches are. And I believe Marcus Freeman does that. Okay. You've got to be able to adapt on the fly. You've got to be a great teacher. You have to be someone that can take your incredible knowledge and teach it to young people that don't have your knowledge base in a way that they can go play to their full speed, their maximum potential and capabilities. That's why, I've said this to Vince before, and I'll say it now. I have a great deal of respect for Vince's career as a high school coach, because one of the reasons I've never coached high school and I've been asked is because I don't think I'm capable of coaching at that, of being able to coach I don't think I could take that and coach those kids that young,
like a 14-year-old.
Yes. And I've met some really smart high school coaches that it can take, it's like, it can be a challenge, but they're able to do it and teach and react and have to deal with all, like, if you think college coaches have to deal with the other stuff, I mean, it's even more for high school coaches. I mean, you're dealing with kids that don't know, that can't, they don't know where their next meal is going to come from. We don't really deal with that in college because these are kids
true.
that are able to get to college, right? I mean,
I've made a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches during my career.
And so, but the point is, can you take your knowledge and get your players to be able to play at a fast level? Dan Mullen told me this when I was it was my first year as a coach. He told me this when I was sitting in his office where, he was able to spend some time with him. He's at Bowling Green, and he said, listen, because nobody cares how smart you are, right? What people care is how smart your players are. How can they take all, if you got all this knowledge, but you can't get your players to play with that knowledge, then it doesn't matter how smart you are. It matters what your players know. It doesn't matter how much you know, it matters how much your players know. And that was a lesson that really stuck with me. And I think that's what the great coaches can do. There are other things like, can you teach fundamentals? Can you teach kids how to play the game? Can you teach kids to play with energy and emotion and to be able to meet a certain standard of excellence on a daily basis? That's what the great coaches have to do, right? Can you get your players to be emotionally and mentally focused no matter the opponent, no matter the situation, no matter the circumstance? Can you treat the Bama game with the same focus and intensity that, well, let me rephrase this. Can you treat the Bowling Green game with as much intensity and focus as we know you're going to have when you play Alabama? That's what most coaches. For Notre Dame, it was kind of the other way around. Can you play with the energy and passion in the bigger games that you played with, in some other games? And so those are all things. And then there's other aspects of it, right? So that's the football part. But then to being a head coach, there's a lot more beyond football. Recruiting is important. Do you have the work ethic and the personality to be a great recruiter? That matters. Are you someone who's organized? Are you someone that can have a vision for? Because here's the thing. As a head football coach, you're not just thinking about the week in front of me. You're thinking about the year in front of me and the 5 years in front of me. You have to have a long-term plan, a seasonal plan, a monthly plan, and a daily plan. You have to have it all figured out, and everything builds toward that. So what you're doing in January isn't just about getting bigger and stronger right now. It's all designed on a schedule for a purpose, to make sure that your team peaks at the right moment, which is not the Saturday of your first game of the season. It's
exactly
the last game of the season.
Yep.
Right. And that's all part of it. That's why you see some coaches are great early and fade late, why some coaches aren't good early and are great late. You need to find the coaches that can be successful and have your teams ready to play from day one to the final. Can you get everybody within your program going in the same direction, which is arguably one of the hardest things to do as a coach. And
especially
that doesn't just include, it doesn't just include the coaches and the players. It includes the strength staff. It includes the trainers. It includes the people that are serving your food. If you're the support staff, the recruiting operation people. I mean, if you're a smart coach, you're treating the people that clean your offices with the level of respect that you treat your AD, because you want them to take pride in what they're doing, because what they're doing is going to have an impact on what recruits think about the building that they walk into.
You got
you
it.
treat those people with respect, right? Not all head coaches are that way. Notre Dame's had a couple guys like that in the last 15 years that are that way. I think I kind of just gave away who I was talking about.
I was going to say your time span.
Couple guys in the last 15 years. Yep, that's it.
Yep.
So I mean, there's those type of things. Can you get your coaches to be on board? Because that can be the hardest of all of them, is to keep 10 people that think they're the smartest person in the room buying into your agenda, right? Buying into your plan. That's one of those things why we talk about Marcus Freeman's ability to walk into a room and command excellence just by his presence. Not everybody's that way. Brian Kelly didn't really have that, right? And that's kind of one of the things that I don't think he had. As you can see from his players and the fact that all these coaches are staying to be with him, even though not all of them are getting their salaries entirely matched from what LSU was offering, over a guy that they had coached with for a decade or known for over a decade, says a lot about his ability to inspire coaches.
Yeah.
Because if I think you care about me, if I'm an assistant and I think you as my head coach has my back, then I'm going to always have your back.
Yep.
And by having your back means I'm making sure that my room is bought into your agenda.
Yep.
If I'm not bought in, then I'm going to have little comments in my class. Well, I don't know why coach did that, but whatever. I mean, he's the boss. I mean, that happens all the time in coaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
No doubt.
The best coaches keep guys on focused. And because there's also that open door of like, hey man, if you got a problem, you come talk to me, we'll deal with it. Right. And you've got to be able to have that there too, because they need to be able to vent. Hey, coach, I don't agree with that decision you made. Right. Okay. Let's talk about it in my office, men to men, and that kind of thing. All those things to me go into it, but it's all about having a vision, being organized, being focused, and being able to create a sense of purpose with your program. Like what is Brian Kelly mentioned it today. A lot of coaches mentioned, what's my why, right? What's your purpose? Why? Right. And players, you can't just, the great coaches don't just say, this is the, if you hear a coach say this, then your child has a bad coach. Hey, coach, why should I do that? Because I said so. Now, I'm not talking about a discipline thing like, why should I run laps? Because I said so. But I'm talking about when hey, why should I run the route this way? Because I told you to. Right. That's not a good coach. If a kid asks me that, because here's why. Because I need you to stem that DB in the correct way, because I need to lean him outside to create the proper spacing between the receiver inside of you and also the second safety. Because when you stick that route, I need you to be able to take this proper angle that you can get that guy leaned out, and then you have separation ability. Or I need you to properly attack his outside shoulder, because if you attack his outside shoulder, then you're going to push outside and you're going to be able to stick that route and you're going to be able to get him to turn his hips and beat him. If you don't explain that to him, then he's not going to understand. He needs to understand why you want him to attack the guy's leverage, attack the outside shoulder, and you attack his leverage, right? And you need to explain. You need to express those things, and the good coaches know how to do that, and they're getting everybody on going in the same direction with that sense of purpose. And the great coaches can do that, and I think Marcus Freeman can. We saw him do it with the defense. And we saw this defense quickly adjust to the way he wants to do it. And by the end of the year, man, they were rolling. And I think that's what I see from him. So that's a big part of it. Tom Loy is reporting that safeties coach Chris O'Leary is going to stay at Notre Dame. So that's a big one. That's another big one. Yeah, I just got a couple of people. So Tom tweeted it out. He is staying. So, I mean, he literally, as far as I know, every coach that he's asked to stay so far is staying. So you're muted. See, you did it.
Finally,
all right.
I did
so hopefully, Jacob, that answers your question.
That was a really good answer and very thorough. We could do a whole show on that, by the way, and really get into the nuts and bolts of why we think that that's the case. Octavio with the super chat, thank you. At the North Carolina game, there was a guy sitting 2 rows in front of me who kept on complaining about Freeman to his wife, which was annoying. Not only is it annoying, but it's disrespectful. That when people take it to the families of the coaches, that's where I start to lose my mind. You're muted, I think.
Was he complaining? Was he complaining to Marcus's wife, or was he complaining to his wife
own
about
wife.
Marcus?
Oh, maybe.
Because my understanding is the coaches spouses kind of sit over with the players and but
Okay, that's
perhaps
maybe I read that wrong.
Yeah, I'd be
I hope-
curious,
yeah,
Octavio.
okay.
I'd be curious about that one.
Yeah, fair enough. Cal, thank you for the super chat, Cal. Very much appreciated. BAO 2104, thanks for the super chat. Very much appreciated. I guarantee Notre Dame wins the national championship at least one time in the next 3 years. Thoughts? Love you guys. Go Irish.
I mean, my excitement level tonight's like, yes, they're going to win one. I don't know. I hope so. I mean, I think I said something the other day about how I felt like Notre Dame's going to win a title within the next 3 years.
Yeah.
It's just what I think. I felt that as long as Marcus Freeman stayed as I think I said if Marcus Freeman stays as defensive coordinator in the next 3 years, Notre Dame won the title. I believe I said that correct.
Yeah, I think you did too.
Well, now he's the head coach. So yeah, I mean, I think that's true. I think this program is, and look, in the offseason, everybody's like, oh, they're going to go 8-4 and 7-5. I was getting really mad because I'm like here, you know what? You know one thing that probably why I was harder on Brian Kelly this year than I've ever been on him. I think because I felt more. I was more confident in his football team than he was.
Yeah,
and that bothers me. It's just because he'd become the ultimate excuse maker at that point in time. And I feel I feel the talent of this team is very underrated, and they're showing it. I agree too. And I feel like if they could just take that final step, is Marcus Freeman capable of that? I at the end of the day, I don't know. I think he is, but at the end of the day, I don't know. He's got to go prove it now. Right? It's time to go prove it. But would I be shocked if they win a title the next 3 years? No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, right.
I think they're close.
Octavio is back with another super chat. He goes, but I'm laughing right now, picturing him yelling at her and losing his stuff, saying that Notre Dame is going to suck now.
So yes,
he
was
obviously
his wife.
talking about his own wife. Yes,
that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Awesome. And that would be very annoying, by the way, because
he might be in the chat now. Like, wait a minute, that was me. They are going to suck now. Yeah.
Oh, John, thank you for the super chat here with my second grandchild being born this afternoon. Congratulations, John. Mike Elston is in the fold as defensive coordinator will make this day complete. What an awesome day.
It sounds like that was tweeted or that was provided before we announced that Elston was staying. So that's
9:43. So that was a long time ago.
Make it an awesome.
Congratulations, John. Yeah. That is fantastic, man. I not that I want to get there with my kids currently, but I can't wait to get there.
Have a little talk.
Hey, bounce. Take them back. Yes, like that's exactly. I am on board with that.
Yeah.
Tara Trixie. Tara, thank you for the super chat. Reese had a rare. Reese had a "Are you a Kelly man or a Notre Dame man?" moment.
100. That's a great comment, Tara.
Awesome. I had to read it for a second.
Yeah, and he remained a Notre Dame man.
Yes, and that is awesome. That is so true. Paul Olmstead with the super chat. Can we name a building at Notre Dame after Kelly? I'm thinking the Brian Kelly sewage treatment plant. Pound sand Kelly.
Some serious shade. Like now I'm at the point I'm like almost feeling bad for him.
I know.
Then I start thinking about things like, nah, I'm good.
Joseph, thank you for the super chat. # pay Mike Elston.
They did, baby.
They did. This is how far behind we are on the super chat. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the super chat, Thomas. That is awesome. Bronx, come on now. There we go. Bronx ND fan, thank you. Suggesting for new IB merch, Gap Closers Coaches Edition t-shirts. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. David Hess with the super chat. Thank you very much. I was sweating this seeing as signing day is coming up, but man, I couldn't be happier. Go Irish. Agreed. That's why timing was very, very important, even if Jack Swarbrick said there was no timetable. I'm glad there was one in his head. Freddie Nat Stadelbauer. Wow, I butchered the heck out of that.
Freddie Nat Stadelbauer.
Thank you. Love the hire. Swing for the fences, baby. Bye-bye 13 personnel. Bye-bye slow developing zone read. Get ready for stud quarterbacks. # BK has butt pimples. Well, that's mean.
Hey, don't get it twisted. Tom Reese is still going to use 13 personnel. Okay.
Just differently.
Just hopefully differently. Hopefully
differently. Because look, tight ends are still a pretty big piece of who Notre Dame is. And that's not going to change anytime soon. And I don't want it to change anytime soon. If they can continue to bring in Michael Mayers or, Michael Mayer is kind of a once in a lifetime kind of guy possibly, but guys of that nature, I still want them to, right? And so they're still going to have tight ends on the field. Ali Muhammad, thank you for the super chat very, very much. Really appreciate that. Jay Clampett Investments jumping in with the big super chat. Great work, guys. Really think this is the dude. Little cash to increase the speed of the website.
We're working on it. Appreciate it.
Well, that's just funny. I love Jay Clampett. That's good stuff, man.
But no, I appreciate that super chat very much. That's
really cool, man.
It's funny is my wife was like, "Hey, there's something we can do that's going to cost X number of dollars," and I was like, "I don't know if I want to do that." And she's like, "Do you know how many people signed up for your website today? I think you have the money." I was like, "Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you."
Sorry, honey.
Yeah. Oh, Tim Patrick with the super chat. Thank you. Been a fan since the mid 90s. I have never felt this energy and excitement around the program. Didn't feel anything like this with Charlie Weiss or Brian Kelly. That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. And I think, look, I will say this. I will say the maturation of social media over the last 12 years / 15 to 18 years, whatever it was, when Charlie Weiss was hired, has a lot to do with it, right? I mean, was Twitter around when Brian Kelly was hired? Yes. Was it what it is now? No. And I think that has a lot to do with everybody being on the same page and getting excited and, all of that. So I agree with you, Tim. I think that's a really good point. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that now we know literally what everybody is thinking at the same time, and so I think that's part of it. Matt, with the super chat, Jaden Gould decommitted. Does Notre Dame have a shot now?
Notre Dame backed off Jaden before that. I mean, they could have had a shot with him. He had a knee injury as a junior. Maybe they go back and look at that again, perhaps. That's one I would consider. I'd want to go look at his senior film before I advocated for that. But they liked him, but that knee injury and whether or not he could be a corner or safety were some of the things that caused them. But I'm sure that they'll at least go back and at least revisit that as a potential guy that they may go after. There's also a safety for Michigan that they're going after that I like a lot. His film was on the message board the other day. I went through some pros and cons of them, but they're definitely putting in work.
Josh Phillips with the super chat, just got home, saw you guys are having a show. Glad to hear Freeman is going to be the next head coach. Will Devin Moore reconsider his decommitment now? We kind of touched on that before, but you want to give the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna continue to go after him or not, but Devin Moore's decommitment was kind of in the works. I didn't know this at the time, but I've since found out that his decommitment was sort of in the works. He actually had an in-home visit with Florida coaches before it started coming out that Brian Kelly might be leaving. So that's kind of already been in the works.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's going to flip to Florida.
Shelton Hager 91. Thank you very much for the super chat. So can this be the biggest super chat show yet? Ha 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 ha.
We'll have to find out.
The
biggest super chat show we had was
Monday.
The day that now it was 2 shows, but the day that Brian Kelly left, we ended up making more money than we did last week when we had our fundraiser. Yeah. And by the way, I've got a couple companies I'm working with. I'm actually going to go out this week and do some more stuff for Christmas. And I got a couple other companies I'm going to meet with this week about getting the Christmas needs. So we are still in the process of that hasn't ended yet. We're still doing that. Last couple of days, I haven't been able to address it a whole lot. I apologize, but that is definitely still in the works for sure.
Jacob Watson with a dated super chat, but I still love you, Jacob. Thank you very much. He says, if Elston leaves, who replaces him? Doesn't matter anymore.
Well, we did actually address that, though.
No, but
we did address that.
No,
though.
I know we did. I know. I'm just joking, obviously, because we're so far behind. Right. but thank you, Jacob, very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Robert, jumping back in. How you can't take money to the grave with you, but people will always remember your character.
That's a great comment.
I don't think, I think that's fantastic because you're not wrong in any way. And that's life advice right there. Mm-hmm. Patrick Tolan with the super chat. Thank you, Patrick. Very much appreciate it. A lot of people saying hit the like button, please. That would be fantastic. Mm-hmm. Crip Dog. Is that a new one? Because I like that name. I don't remember.
I don't remember seeing that one. Yeah.
So thank you very much. I know Devin has decommitted. Has anyone else decommitted? Has there been any word on how the recruits are feeling? Love the show, guys. I think you kind of touched on the recruits, but I don't think anybody else has decommitted.
No one's decommitted yet. There are a couple players that I'm concerned about. CJ Williams being one, and of course. Maureen Walker being the other. But those were issues before.
Those were issues way before any of this went down. Yeah, absolutely. Jacob with the super chat. Thank you very much. Student here. The student body is unanimously behind Freeman. Been an angry 24 hours, but things are looking up. Go Irish. Make playoffs. Jacob, glad to have you in, man.
You know, I'm actually glad that Jacob provided that, because that's the one part of the fan base I don't know how they feel.
That's
right.
a good
Like
point.
I know fans on social media are. I know fans that are members of Irish Breakdown are. Like 90% behind. I know that obviously a lot of big money people in Notre Dame are big time behind Freeman. The players, recruits. I didn't know about the student body.
Yeah.
So it is good to hear that too, because again, it's just there's gonna be a new energy at Notre Dame, and this isn't a knock on Brian. This is true of any coach that's been around for 12 years and hasn't won a title and those kind of things. It's just like, and even when you win a title, I mean, Saban's complained the last couple of years about how spoiled the student body has become, that kind of thing. So
right.
There's just going to be a new energy, and now it's up to Marcus Freeman to take advantage of that and build on it and not go 8-4 next year. I mean, those are things. That's what he has to prove. But this is why it would have been extremely difficult for Jack Swarbrick to have anybody.
Yeah, no question. Savage Scion Fitness. Thank you for the super chat. I'd love to see Alfred and Taylor in our offense coaching that equals scary, and a big middle finger to Kelly.
Yeah.
Hashtag Freeman era.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Real big.
Matt 2011 GT. Thank you for the super chat. Brian Kelly is in the chat trying to make himself feel better under the name Will Williams. Troll.
Ouch.
Still funny though. All right, Matthew K. Thank you for the super chat. Assuming Brian Polian has no role here, not that it matters. Go Irish. This is a new chapter in Notre Dame history.
I don't want to say that he doesn't, but I have not heard at any point in time that he is going to be staying.
I haven't heard pro or con. Like
I've heard he's going to leave.
Okay,
he's not going to be back. I haven't heard that he's going. I haven't heard definitively, but I have definitely have not heard any inkling that he's going to return.
Okay, that's fair. Tommy Guns jumping back in. Brian should have worn the Gap closer shirt.
I thought about it.
I'm sure you did. Joseph McIntyre, thank you for the super chat. Best day shopping since my kids were born. Good things happen to good people. Marcus Freeman is going to take us to the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you're right, Joseph, because we're along for the ride. There's no question about that. Joe, thank you for the super chat. Is Elston to LS Poo a done deal? No.
Yeah, so we're way behind.
I know. We are way behind.
Yeah.
That was time stamped at 9:58.
Somebody put it out that it was a done deal. I'm curious where that came from, and this is why I don't just run with rumors on Twitter. I try to do my due diligence, and get that. But I didn't know where that came from.
UWI swimmer, this is a good one. Thanks for the super chat. Rumor is Jack hung up on Luke Fickell and finished this deal as soon as Owusu Koromoa showed up in his driveway.
That's great. So if you don't know what he's talking about, if you're not on Twitter, I want to find this tweet because Jeremiah Owusu tweeted something out today that was just hilarious. Right now, keep in mind Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa never played for Brian Kelly.
Not one.
Okay,
for Marcus Freeman.
For Marcus Freeman, yes, never played for Marcus Freeman. I really want to find this chat or this tweet that he put out, and because
it's funny.
It's hard to find his name because it's not like you just can't type in Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa. So I got to find specifically what he put out. But it was just he basically was like, Freeman's got to be the guy and this kind of thing. And then
do I have to go to South Bend?
Matter of fact, I'm about to hop in the car and drive to South Bend right now. Like I really want to find this because it was hilarious. Because
he's in Cleveland, right?
Right, he's in Cleveland, but he never played for Marcus Freeman. That's the funny part about it. It's
absolutely.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's just that's the thing that's been amazing is to see all these former players be totally on the Marcus Freeman bandwagon because they never played for him. But it's clear that they're being told things by the current players about him that has made them become a supporter.
And that's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, so keep talking. I'm going to find – when I find this, I'm going to pull it up because it was absolutely hilarious.
Cool. Super sticker here from Tim. It's Opeel. That's your guy.
Tim Opel. Tim Opel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Thanks, Tim. Really appreciate that. Absolutely.
One of my former players.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Muhlenberg Mule.
John Klimek, let's go. IB killed this. I love fired up BK Vince, just like fired up BVG Brian. Freeman doing his thing and a free Tommy. LSU haters, I see you. Hashtag 7 and 5. Some good stuff out there. Just saying. Tom with the super chat. Maybe BK really could get us over the hump. Go Irish.
Oh, yeah. There you go. I like what he did there. A lot
Patrick
of shade
with another super chat. Cheers to Freeman for grinding and working to get what he wants. 33-year-old coach here, continuing to grind every day.
Yeah,
That's
keep
awesome.
it up. That's what you got to do, man. That's what coach has got to be about.
You have to.
Coach has got to be about.
I'm just getting to where Sean showed up.
Oh my goodness.
I know. We're going to be here all night. In a good way. Tim McCarthy, thank you for the super chat very much. Does this make the college football committee try to get us in this year? Talk about ratings. Ratings would be off the charts this year if Notre Dame was in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean,
no question.
I think if what we've discussed needs to happen, like if Oklahoma State beats Baylor this weekend, I don't think you're going to see Notre Dame jump Oklahoma State, no matter how good the story is. That would be unfair to Oklahoma State because Oklahoma State has a better resume than Notre Dame.
And they deserve it.
They would.
And we'll be the first ones to get in here and we'll say it.
They'd have 3 wins over a top 15 team. Notre Dame would have no wins.
0.
So I mean that's kind of the things. It's just it wouldn't be right. All right, it wouldn't be right.
No, I
so
completely
what Jeremiah Wusu-Kormo put out?
Did you finally find it?
He put out a hashtag that said hashtag Coach Marcus Freeman. This is before everything broke. This is 8 hours ago. So this is like 3:30. This is even before I.
Yeah.
So I put the stuff out first at like 3:45 on our website. That hey, this is what I'm hearing. Sounds like it's going to be Freeman. Then I talked about Reese and Watt and those kind of things. He put hashtag Coach Marcus Freeman. Then he said, matter of fact, I'm gonna have to drive out to South Bend or Notre Dame real quick. Like I'm gonna have to go out there and let them know, like, you know what I mean? And then
that's awesome.
5 minutes later, I get my final piece of intel that this is what's gonna happen. So
great.
Yeah, it's great. And then Drew Tranquil was pushing for him. I mean, it was just
yeah.
I just don't know how he could have gone any other direction at this point.
Exactly. And again, I feel like he was painted into a corner to a degree, but it's the right decision. I mean, and he did his due diligence, and I think he believes it's the right decision as well. And I think that's important.
Can I say why one of the reasons I love this crew? Okay. So I'm sitting there talking about, like, I can't find Jeremiah Wusu. Within the last 2 minutes, I've had 3 different people email me or DM me his tweets. Y'all are awesome. Like, no, I mean, that's great. Cause like, I couldn't find it because his name isn't like, you can't just type in like Jeremiah. And I had somebody send me a text and 2 DMs. I love y'all. That's how I was able to read it. I actually didn't find it. I was able to, able to pull up their things. It's tremendous.
That's great.
Appreciate y'all very much.
Danaher the Bulldog, thank you very much. Hey guys, what is your view of why Coach Bayless and his program is so much more successful versus prior coaches outside the usual squats, bench, etc.?
I mean, it's all about building a plan together, right? Mm-hmm. It's about a holistic plan of strength, conditioning, and nutrition, and also the timing. Like, when do you want them to peak? When do you not want them to peak? It's about finding a program that speaks to specific. There's certain things you want to do that are for everybody. There's other things that you want to do that they're more geared towards the skill players, towards the linemen. It's about having a whole holistic approach to it. And then it's like with anything else. Some people just have more knowledge about things. Some people just have more of a knack for things. Some people are just better at certain things than others, right? And it's a gift that God gave you, and I think that is really what it boils down to. But it's about all the things. Like, football is you don't reinvent football, but some people just they can just see it and they can coach it and they can teach it and some can play it. And it's just, and then of course it's a lot of work. I mean, that's the other thing too, is it's a lot of work. But the biggest thing too, for me, is beyond that, how he treats his players, and he is incredibly demanding of them, but they love him because he also knows how to get them to understand that I'm here for you. I have your back. I'm doing this for you. And if you're a coach or a strength coach or anyone in a position of leadership, that you can get your students or your players to believe that you do this for them, and they'll do anything for you.
Yeah. And
if you tell them to literally run through a wall, there's going to be some they're going to be like, Kurt Heinz is going to be like, cool. I got you. Like, no, I didn't mean that literally, right. So,
Mark Kritzmanich, even my wife has been listening the past couple nights because of the great coverage. Any merit around the Watt rumors for O-line coach?
well, we put that out there. I mean, that was our thing. You know, we put
Yep.
that out. That was also back around 4 something. I put that on the board. That's just what I was told. Again, I'm not as confident in that one as I was that this move was going to happen with Marcus Freeman and the back and forth with Tommy Rees and what was going on there. But that's what we're hearing, and it would make sense. I mean, Tommy Rees, when he was a starting quarterback in 2013, his starting left guard was Chris Watt. So
Right.
that year when Tommy was only sacked 8 times, remember that? Actually, he was sacked less because I think Hendricks was sacked a couple times in the Stanford game, correct? When Tommy got
I think
hurt.
so, yeah.
So he wasn't sacked very often.
And he was a GA last year, so
Right.
he's worked with Tommy as an adult as well,
Right.
which means something
Right.
too. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Right.
he saw it in action.
Right.
So Gary G with the super chat, thank you very much. We can all sleep tonight eventually. Yes,
Yeah.
eventually. But thank you, Gary. Really appreciate that. Tim Patrick again, I believe. Sean, thank you again. Sean just has a way of articulating things. I could listen to him all day. Big fan.
I feel a little hurt by that. But it is true. That's why we bring Sean on.
He's a great addition, man.
Yeah.
I love Sean. I love doing stuff with him. And you're right. He has a way of explaining things that I'm just like, just listening and enjoying. And, Matt Baisley with the big old super chat. Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate that. Let's go, IB. Slow as it was, got me through the day. Late here, and maybe you don't want to comment, but aside from the feels, is this historically embarrassing? Kelly's attempt to poach coaches and being rebuffed coach after coach after coach.
You could look at it that way, and I think to a degree it is a little embarrassing because it's the manner in which, Sean mentioned earlier, the manner in which he went about it. That you're not even giving Notre Dame any kind of notice. You're trying to poach them before Notre Dame even knows that there's a risk of them being poached.
Exactly. And
that's just a little shady. But I also think it's look, if you want to look at it that way, sure. But the positive manner of looking at it is the fact that Notre Dame stepped up to the plate. Right, that's been the big knock that people have had. Notre Dame doesn't pay. Notre Dame doesn't do this. Remember all the excuses that Brian Kelly made? Well, look, I can assure you that there was not one time during Brian Kelly's relationship with Jack Swarbrick where he asked Jack Swarbrick to step up financially, and he did. Brian Van Gorder made $1 million freaking at Notre Dame. Don't tell me Notre Dame doesn't step up to take care of their coaches if the coach asks for them.
Dealing.
Okay, so Notre Dame, look, Notre Dame stepped up, right? Notre Dame stepped up because especially Mike Elston, for example, that's a father and a husband. He's got children's futures to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I'm getting paid $1 million at Notre Dame and somebody's offering me $3 million or something like that, I'm just throwing out random numbers. That's not saying that what it was. That's generational money right there. But Notre Dame stepped up to make it to where even if they didn't match, they at least got close enough to where it's like, yeah, okay, let's do this. Let's roll. And I'm told tonight that Notre Dame didn't just, like with Tommy Rees's negotiations, it wasn't a situation, from what I was just told a little bit ago, it wasn't a situation where it's just like, I love Notre Dame, I'm going to stay here. I don't care if you're only paying me $400,000, right? I mean, Notre Dame had to step up and match to a degree.
Right,
now,
absolutely.
But the reason they were able to match is because Tommy said, hey, I want to be here. But this is a huge – I mean, from what I'm told, what Brian Kelly was offering Tommy Rees would have made him one of the 5 or 6 highest paid offensive coordinators in college football.
Crazy.
From what I'm told he was offered. And now I don't know if Notre Dame matched that completely, but they got close enough to where Tommy could go with his heart.
Right.
Does that make sense?
The decision a little bit easier.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because look, we're all adults here who have to work for a living. Maybe there's some people that are out there that are independently wealthy. Brian and I are not one of those people. Okay. So if money talks to a degree, but if you can get into the neighborhood where now you can make a decision that you're happy with, and that makes your heart good, then that makes a huge difference. Right. Okay. And that's just being realistic. Just being realistic. BM 12310, BK didn't have the traits. And there it is. That's great.
Wow.
I'm going slow because I don't want to miss any. Brian Stevens with a super chat. Thank you very much. Players had to pull people apart. What's the rumor about Marcus putting Kelly in his place? What Marcus didn't say. So I think people are getting this a little bit.
Well, that's because the
screwed.
manner in which it was first put out.
Yeah.
You know, here's what should not be happening. People should not be taking content from a premium message board and putting it out publicly. And that's my understanding of what happened. But somebody said Marcus chewed Brian's you-know-what out.
Behind, yeah.
Well, what didn't happen is Marcus did not go at Brian Kelly in front of the players. My understanding is Marcus did not go at Brian Kelly specifically to the players after Kelly left. What he was saying, however, was clearly if y'all don't want to be here, don't be here.
Right.
I want to be here. Let's go.
Right.
And it was a lot more than last about 10 minutes. Yeah, I mean, clearly there was some okay, if he don't want to be here, don't want to be here kind of thing to it. But it wasn't like FBK and screw Brian and it wasn't that.
Because he's not that kind of guy. He wouldn't do that.
Well, and also okay, well, that big old contract you just got offered is out the window.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there was definitely a little bit of shade thrown, but not directly from what I understand.
Right.
If I get told otherwise, I'll let y'all know.
Yeah, Stuke 66. When Bayless was retained, I knew it was Freeman. You can't keep a strength and conditioning coach if the head coach is not on board.
Yeah, but you can also not hire a head coach and go to someone else if he's not on board with your strength coach. That happens a lot more than assistant coaches, especially with a strength coach like Matt Bayless.
Right,
because Matt Bayless
he's got a very
right
good reputation across.
Let's just say this: I have been told I've been told our Cincinnati fan said this. And I was told this by a couple other people that one of Luke Fickell's deal breakers for wherever he goes is that he's gonna take his strength coach with him. Right. There's a lot of coaches that were like, I have to work with Matt Bayless. Okay, so is that part of like one of the bonuses in my contract? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that like one of the deals? Or you're sweetening the pot by I get to work with Matt Bayless. There's a lot of coaches that would feel that way.
And I knew that was the case with Fickell. And when I saw that Matt Bayless was being retained, my mind went there, but I didn't want to get too excited about it.
It doesn't necessarily mean that is what I'm saying.
You could twist my arm to work with Matt Bayless, even though I've got my quote unquote guy, right? I mean, there's, I don't know. It didn't seem like a deal breaker, but it felt like an indicator.
There have been people that have said, you've heard this, right, Vince? And then Punter said that for Luke Fickell, whether it's Notre Dame or Ohio State down the road, that his strength coach is a deal breaker.
Right. So, exactly.
Okay.
Mike, thanks for the super chat. Quinn and Alexander ?
No knowledge. No,
Nothing.
Not heard. The only thing I've heard about Quinn is that obviously he has an offer to go to LSU. I've been told, but that he's also contemplating not coaching anymore. Like he's an older guy. He's had some health issues. It's been he caught a lot of flack from people like me and others. I could see him wanting to just take some time away with his family.
Yeah. Well, I'm back down to the super chats about Varsity Blues. That's where we're at.
Where are you at, Vince?
Where am I at? 10:18.
Okay.
Alejandro Gonzalez, thank you very much. Thanks for working so hard recently, guys. Great content. Happy to be here, man. We appreciate you guys being here to make us want to be here. You know what I mean? Like it's a two-way street because if he and I are just having a chat for 10 people,
because we weren't going to do the show originally. Then we were going to do it at 9:30, and I hit up Sean and Vince. I was like, I can't wait that long. Let's go now.
Let's go. Right? It was great. David Knight with a nice juicy one here. Thank you,
Appreciate
David,
you, David,
very, very much. He says, I can't tell you how happy I am right now. Brian, it's the Vincenzo. Okay. And Sean, no particular order. I'm sporting some serious mental wood right now.
Oh, God. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to get that visual in my head.
Read that.
But we appreciate you, David. We just appreciate you, buddy.
I will put this in here. Rouse Productions. Vince and Brian are going to be up till 2 a.m. just reading super chats.
No doubt. No doubt. We're still like an hour and 40 minutes behind.
Oh my goodness gracious. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there slowly but surely.
Well, I just went through several minutes where there's no super chat. So
I'm seeing that as well.
Saw one here.
There's more coming.
Colin Ross says per Irish Sports Daily, Lance Taylor staying. Yep, we reported that earlier. That's great news, obviously for Notre Dame.
Christopher Morgan, thank you very much for the super chat. Very much appreciate that.
This is how far we're behind. Matt Romero with the super chat. Thank you, Matt. You think Reese will try and I thought he said stay. We'll try and flip Walker Howard. No, that ship has sailed. They're focusing on other quarterbacks. They were trying to flip Devin Brown or get Devin Brown from USC. He committed to Ohio State today.
Oh, okay.
So the search for another quarterback continues.
It continues. Justin S. Any word on Elston and a potential promotion yet? I think he'll be a huge piece of the puzzle to maintain continuity and a high standard of coaching. He's coming back, but we don't know the specific roles yet. I have a feeling that the press conference will give
Clear
some
a lot
insight
of that up.
to some of that, since it's going public that these assistant coaches are still on board. It won't be like your normal head coach press conference where somebody asks, do you have any idea who your assistants are going to be?
Yeah.
Because we know. And so I think it's going to be, there's going to be some information put out there right at the, I feel like.
As long as he's asked. And if you're there, I would expect you to, if no one else asks that question, I expect
you'll be texting me questions that, let me see here.
Because I don't ask questions during press conferences. If people are wondering why, it's because I feel like those reporters have made the decision to do what it takes to be at a press conference, and they have driven and they have gone there. I believe the press conference should be for the people that are there, and I don't think it'd be right for me because I can do a Zoom question. I mean, you're allowed to do that. Yeah. Just for me, because I've made the conscious choice not to be there for my own personal decisions, and they're not related to Notre Dame football specifically. Just my own personal decisions based on what you need to do to be at a press conference. I just don't think it would be right for me to do that. So I just want people to understand that's why I don't ask questions. But if Vince is there, he will be asking some questions. Right, and I'll be texting you because you're there. Yeah. I don't have to be there, right?
Exactly. But Barnzamis, thank you for the super chat.
I love
Very
this
much
one.
Appreciate it. It says one thing the site's slowness showed me today. It's about to blow up.
Yes,
best in the biz.
Because I think I said this the other day. My wife knew that by December 5th. So my wife she built my website. She's the tech support and all that kind of stuff. But we had been working on getting the site up because we knew we were going to have a big jump by signing day.
No,
I was not anticipating Brian Kelly leaving Sunday, or Monday, and then Marcus Freeman hired by Wednesday, and so. I apologize, and I appreciate your patience. Yeah. But we are definitely working to get it fixed. Yep. There's no question about it. I appreciate that very much.
Jim with the super chat, thank you very much. Any chance Harry comes back to coach the offensive line?
I don't think so. From what I've been told, Coach Heastan is retired. Now, does that completely rule it out? No. But I don't think so. I don't think he would. I mean, again, that's also someone that Tommy Rees knows well. I mean, Harry Heastan was the O-line coach in Notre Dame for 2 of Tommy Rees' seasons as a coach. He was also here in 2017 when Tommy Rees was the quarterback's coach. So there was some coaching crossover between Coach Heastan and Coach Rees as well. But it's more about, I just don't think he or Heastan necessarily wants to be a full-time coach again.
Right. But he'll be in town. That's important to understand. Devin Knight. Or David, Devin, where did I get that? David Knight, thank you very, very, very much for the super chat. Tommy Rees with the leash off, treacherous. By the way, I've been waiting months for my baked ziti. Is that an inside joke?
For David Knight, yeah, we were talking about that because remember way at the beginning, Dave's an OG of this.
Yeah,
chat.
I know he is. We haven't seen him around lately, actually.
Well, he's been serving our country in some different manners, and he's been out of the country for a while. So
very good point. Yeah, that's right. Your memory is so much better than mine. John, thank you very much.
When that goes, we're in trouble.
We are in super trouble. John, thank you very much for the super chat. Really, really appreciate that. Anthony, next up in the queue. Let's go, IB Nation. I love y'all. Freeman era. Go Baylor. Go Hawkeyes. Go Houston. Go Dogs. If all 4 of those things happen.
So, I like how you did that. You went team name, mascot, team name, mascot. That's well done.
Yeah, that is well done. That is well done. But thank you for the super chat, Anthony. Spark, right back at it. Thank you, Spark. On last comment on BK, he isn't as smart as he thinks. He would have had a better chance to win the Pac-12 than to win the SEC and a national title.
Yeah, I do think there's some to Brian Kelly not having the proper opinion of himself. And part of being a great coach is knowing your limitations.
Sure.
Knowing your weaknesses and making sure that the staff you build around you is strong in the areas where you are not.
Right. Exactly.
Which is why it never made sense. If you don't want to recruit BK, then you need to make sure that all 9 of your assistants, and then when it became 10 of your assistants, that all of them are great recruiters.
Right.
If you don't want to do it, then but it just that was always kind of a frustrating aspect of this whole thing.
Right.
For me.
No question. Dro the Gooner. I like that. Thanks for the super chat, Gooner. This is the right move. Young rock star coaches that know how to speak to young student athletes like Lincoln Riley and Lane Kiffin. Go Irish. Is Lane Kiffin all that young anymore?
Yeah, I mean he's still like what 40. He's not that. I mean he's younger than me. So if you better be careful with that comment.
I know. I know. Now that you say that, I'm
as soon as you said it, you're like, oh, I think he's older than me. So you're lucky. He's 46.
Oh, yeah.
But he acts like he's 23 because he's single again now, right? So
is he really?
Yeah.
Man, I thought he had a smoking hot wife.
He did, but that wasn't enough for him. So
you're probably right.
He needed the side pieces to go with it, and then she as any good strong woman should be.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not anybody's consolation prize.
You got that right. And if I remember,
and by the way, I'm going to take half your stuff on my way out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Back up the U-Haul. Beep beep. Load it up.
And you are welcome, Jack. Appreciate you very, very much.
Tyler with the next super chat. Thank you very much. A joke, but what about Coach O to help us recruit down in Louisiana?
I mean, look, if Coach O wanted to come be an analyst or something like that, I'd
the door's open. The door is open to anybody like that.
I just have a feeling Ed Orgeron in South Bend, Indiana would not be a great combination.
How funny would that be, though, man? See him walking around like
accidentally saying "Go Tigers." Like, no, sorry, go Irish.
Yeah, I see him walking around Martin's. Where are the eggs?
Yeah,
I gotta make me some gumbo.
Oh, we need sleep so bad.
I know you're not wrong, Justin. Thank you for the super chat. One more. Do you expect to see the trend in recruiting that Freeman brought to the defense carry over to the offensive side of the ball?
I think so. Partly because let me
Tommy
answer
Rees.
that question when I see the whole offensive staff. Because that was the thing we've said for months that Tommy Rees has been a really good recruiter for Notre Dame, but he hasn't always had the support around him across the board. McNulty's done a decent job. Lance Taylor's done a pretty good job, but Quinn's done a good job, but not always a great job. And Dell was just kind of no. So I think let me see the staff he puts together.
Yeah.
Okay. That's once I have an idea of that, but Tommy's a dynamic recruiter in the making. He's already pretty good now. Well, the reason I say dynamic in the making is because he's still putting an on the field track record together. And that's why the end of the season is important, can really finish strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to say, hey, look what we did once we finally got this thing going. I think those are important things.
No question. BM1TW0310. We've had this one before, so thank you again. Elston staying is such a statement. A true Notre Dame man. Go Irish. We are ND. So true.
Love it.
Matt, thank you very much for the super chat. Hell yeah, Elston. Damn, man. In the coaching changes I've gone through in my 42 here on Earth, this feels different. Yeah, it does feel different.
That's very fair. I was really excited about Brian Kelly getting hired. And I think my excitement has turned out to be true because again, Brian Kelly did a lot of good things.
Huge amount of stuff, no question.
And that's who I wanted Notre Dame to hire. And I was happy about that. But I still had some, how far can he take Notre Dame? Like this one is different because of what they're inheriting too. That's the other thing. Like I wasn't super fired up about Charlie Weiss. I didn't,
that
definitely was not fired up about Ty Willingham and George O'Leary. Like that that both of those guys didn't really super excite me.
They both seemed like bridesmaids.
Yeah, didn't like the whole Bob Davie promotion. Like that just seemed like, and the way it was perceived even to the time about how he kind of stabbed Lou in the back a little bit to get that job. It's just
that's right. See, I wasn't old enough to really understand what was going on then. For that one. But
so it's like, this one's probably like, again, let me take my analyst hat off and my, publisher of Irish Breakdown and just put my Notre Dame fan hat back on. Yeah. I'm pretty fired up about this one. Like this is the one that has me the most excited about what's going on. Absolutely. So there you go.
Matt says, thanks for the super chat, by the way, Matt. Elston has spent every year since 2004 with Kelly and still said no. Wow.
Yeah.
Because he goes home to people that are more important to Kelly.
Yeah, and I think this is why it was so important to keep Mike Elston because Mike Elston, more than any other coach outside of Tommy Rees, who played at Notre Dame, gets Notre Dame. He gets what makes Notre Dame unique. And that's important to me. That's important to me. I love that by Johnny Jimenez. Vince, did you freeze up? I think Vince froze up. So Johnny Jimenez has Notre Dame with the old Cajun way of going about it. So appreciate that super chat, Johnny. Craig, any insights on the O-line coach? Craig, we haven't heard who that's going to be. We were told earlier that it looked like it was going to be like there's a chance it could be Chris Watt. We were told that Chris Watt is someone who is the Notre Dame staff is interested in pursuing. So I think that's a name to keep an eye on. But I'm not to the point where I'm like ready to say yes, he is going to be the coach. That's not there. So we'll remove the frozen Vince with this Vince. So
it hit midnight. Apparently, I'm like Cinderella. Apparently, everything just shut down on my end. But anyway, Neil, have you read this one yet?
No, just pulled it up for you.
Neil, thank you very much, Neil, for the super chat. Perfect storm for Freeman. It's rare a new coach has such a universal mandate. This staff rejecting Kelly's magic paycheck shows they love Notre Dame.
Yeah, and I really don't think with any of them it's a shot at Brian Kelly. At least, I'm not going to perceive that until I take it. I think it's more about they love this place and they know the potential of what this place can be about. I think that's more of what it's about.
So apparently when you leave the studio, you lose the super chat.
It's all good. That's why I'm just going through and pulling them up. So we're all good.
All right. So I'll keep reading. Old Grim, thank you very much. Old Grim, good to see you, sir. Let's just keep this party going for 10 years or more. Hey, I am fine with doing a coaching search every decade or so. Like that would be cool by me. That means Marcus Freeman's having a lot of success. That's what that means. So I'd be down with that.
This isn't a super chat, but I love this from Matt.
Sources have indicated that despite a significant offer from BK and LSU, Touchdown Jesus has confirmed he will remain at Notre Dame. Oh, that is great. That is fantastic. That is awesome. Jack, thank you very much for the super chat. Will Elston be promoted to defensive coordinator? If not, who should Freeman bring in or promote? Does Freeman keep play calling duties?
I don't think he'll keep play calling duties. I don't think that's a task he should take on as a first-time coach. That's just me. Now, we've seen him do it. Lincoln Riley has done it successfully. And I don't think he should do it, but if he chooses to do it, I'm fine with it, right? I mean, see what it does, because he has shown the willingness to adjust if needed. But I could certainly see a situation where Mike Elston's promoted to DC, or at least co-DC with Mike Mickens, perhaps, or maybe Elston is the DC and then Mike Mickens is the pass game coordinator, something along those lines. I could see something like that. But look, we've talked about it. I would personally make him the D coordinator, especially if Marcus Freeman's still going to call plays. I would certainly do that, but we don't know how the makeup of that. And from what I'm told from one of the people I talked to tonight, it sounds like a lot of that stuff is still in the works with all the other coaches.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that if Mike Elston is going to be the DC, that was part of the conversation.
Oh,
in my opinion. And it would not shock me, Jack. The reason I'm saying this, Jack, is I don't know the answer, so I don't want to tell you, yes, I think he'll be promoted, because I don't know. I can tell you what my opinion would be, and I think it would make sense to do that, in my opinion. It would make a lot of sense to promote him to D coordinator, whether you're going to call plays or you want him to call plays. I think it would make a lot of sense both ways. Or either way, I should say. They both make a lot of sense.
They absolutely do. No question. PK4ND, thank you very much. Yes, Sean, no more apologizing for being Notre Dame. Yes, Brian. Recruits, you're either with us or not. No begging, no apologizing. Come or be left behind.
Absolutely.
Like that. Absolutely. Joseph, thanks for the super chat. So who is leaving? Who is confirmed as staying? I think we can go over it again. Reese, McNulty, Taylor on the offensive side. We've got Mickens, Elston, O'Leary on the defensive side, and obviously Marcus Freeman as well, which leaves 4 open positions on the coaching staff at the present, if my math is accurate.
Okay.
So. Josh, thanks for the super chat. BK's real legacy will be uniting the entire fan base and coaching staff by basically retiring to LSU. Build him a statue with an LSU visor on. Well, LSU can do that. They can foot the bill for his statue.
Yeah. Hey, they got the resources.
That's what we've been told. Ryan, thanks for the super chat. Dabo, Ryan Day, and now Marcus Freeman, all with no head coach experience, but were coordinators at the program they got their first head coaching job at. Good company. Was Dabo a coordinator? I didn't think so, but he was there. I mean, he was at Clemson. Yeah,
he was the receivers coach, I believe. He might have been like the recruiting coordinator, but not
offense or defense. Yeah. Shelton, thank you very much for the super chat. Everyone in the beginning of the season asking for Freeman to recruit offense too. Okay, done.
Yeah, it's a great point, Sheldon. Great point.
That's another check.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
That's what I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see how the pendulum swings a little bit. Chris, thank you for the super chat. I can't wait to see Reese Unchained offense. Yes, no question. That is going to be fun to watch, I think. I'm projecting. Yeah, I'm really excited for that.
And if you think people are fired up now, Vince.
Yeah, no kidding. DC Irish, thank you very much. How great is it if we get into the playoff and win it all now? I'm on board. I'm on board. I think that would be a lot of fun. You think we got a lot of people watching the chat now?
Yeah, gotta make sure I get my site's bandwidth or whatever up by then. Thank you for that super. B. O'Donnell, appreciate that super chat very, very much. We're actually kind of getting rolling here, Vince. A lot of comments, so
love that.
Or maybe I'm, I guess while I'm strolling, we're not making it through as much time. A lot going on.
Rory, thank you very much for the super chat. Marcus Freeman will be a great head coach. Marcus, like a Spartacus? Is that what that's supposed to be?
Marcus Freeman. Trying to do some old Roman gladiator stuff. Yeah.
Are you entertained? Are you not entertained? That is the question.
Yeah. Not quite as cool of a name as Maximus Aurelius.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's still a cool name, nonetheless.
I love that movie, by the way.
John Long with a super sticker. John, thank you.
Thank you very
so much
John.
for that. And look, we're hanging around because we want to get to everybody's questions. I don't expect any more news to break. We'd love it if y'all hung around with us and stayed for the rest of these questions. But that's what we're doing from here till the end. Is we want to make sure that the people that have given us their hard-earned dollars, get these questions answered.
Ending Nation, thank you very much. Great show, guys. Let's go. I'm pumped. Hope is alive.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
There we go.
Sean, thank you very much. Drew Tranquil fired up about Freeman. So many players, past, present, and future, fired up right now. Love it. Let's go, Irish.
Okay.
Drew, thank you very much for the super chat. In the current landscape, keeping academics and character in mind, do you think we will pull more 5 stars because these kids can relate better to a young black coach than an arrogant 60-year-old Brian Kelly?
I don't think it has to do a whole lot with Marcus being black. I mean, because you're seeing players of all races and all those type of things. Like Kyle Hamilton tweeted out, like the Blasian connection, because Marcus Freeman is part black and part, I think, Korean, and Kyle Hamilton is also part Asian and part black. I think it's about he's trustworthy, he's committed to them, he has their back, he's intelligent, he can teach. It has to do with that. Now the young part, I think, has a more impact with the current team than the black part. I think it's just about look,
young, dynamic, energetic.
Just because we're seeing a lot of that same energy for Tommy Rees on offense, right? And it's not the white kids are pushing for Tommy Rees and the black kids are, and that's not what he's saying. I'm just making the point that I think it has more to do with his character and his energy and his intelligence and how he bonds with them a lot more than it has to do with a lot of those other attributes. Got to go to the next one here.
Yeah, you're in charge.
You can't get to these. Yeah,
you're at the stick, Goose. All right, just your ordinary Joe. Marcus Freeman is head coach, the ultimate gap closer. I think I'll wear my gap closer T-shirt as my PJs tonight and plan to sleep better than I have for 12 years. Ordinary Joe, bringing the heat there.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of the jammies though. I'm down.
Yep. Got another merch store idea. Randy Williams with a big super sticker. Randy, thank you
That's awesome, man. Thank you very
much for that. Absolutely. Matt Axe is glad Elston is staying from St. Mary's, Ohio. So that's the only negative on Mike Elston, is that he is a Rough Rider from St. Mary's. He got real salty with me when I told him one day at lunch that I have never lost to St. Mary's at anything. St. Mary's is one of our rivals growing up. I went to Lima Bath. And we just called it Bath, but anyone else from Ohio is not gonna say that. So, he didn't believe me because he didn't lose a lot. He won, I think, 2 state championships in his time. Mike Elson, I've said this to people. Mike Elson was he was the greatest high school football player I ever saw till I moved and got picked off by Dre Bly and played against Dre Bly. And I was like, okay, Mike, you're pretty good, but Dre Bly guys, better. But no, when I was a kid, like he was a 6'5", like 220-pound running back. And he was a monster. But yeah, I'm just kidding about that, obviously. But yeah, he's a St. Mary's Rough Rider. To Josh Phillips, news of Freeman as head coach was a great early birthday gift.
Well, there you go. Well, happy birthday, Josh.
There you go. Absolutely.
Wiki Jr., thank you very much. Don't worry, boys. I have officially just joined the boards. Perhaps the biggest news of the Notre Dame day, I assume. Anyway, yes. Any news on Quinn leaving?
I have honestly not heard a thing about that would intimate he would be coming back. Whether he was asked or not, I haven't heard a thing. Everything I've heard is either retirement or LSU. So let me get down here to some more. Here we go.
There we go. Marriage survived. Fickle stays at UC, and I'm absolutely thrilled with Freeman and the core of the staff staying. Go Irish.
Was it yesterday that John was like, my wife will not forgive me if we also take Luke Fickles. So yes, John, congratulations. This is a big day for you too. Big day for you too.
Jim, thank you for the super chat. As a Cincinnati fan, I'm happy for both UC and Notre Dame. So congrats.
Props to Jim and Hunter because I had lost all faith in Cincinnati fans because I ran into some really Cincinnati fans on our YouTube channel when they played Cincinnati, but Hunter and Jim have restored my faith.
I'm going to throw this up here real quick because it's starting to bog down the chat. Air Pro K. Bayless is staying, and people have told you that in the chat. All right, so he's here. He's not going anywhere. It's a good thing.
Yes, so, he was the first one.
Right,
he was the first of those dominoes.
That's exactly right. So I just want to put that out there. Sorry, I was trying to get rid of the other one. Can you put that up? Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you for the super chat. Will Freeman still coordinate the D on game day? Thoughts on head coaches who do that? Y'all see the video of Kelly saying bye to the players.
Well, Nick Saban has always been heavily involved in that. I'd have to think about defensive coaches that still call plays. I don't know if off the top of my head I can tell you any, but we see that on offense. I mean, Brian Kelly did that when he first took over. Lincoln Riley still calls plays at Oklahoma. Dana Holgerson's always called plays as a offensive coach. We see it a lot more offensively than defensively. I'd have to think of some. I'm sure there are some, but I'm not sure who they would be. Like, I don't know if Dave Aranda still calls plays at Baylor. I'm not tied in enough to those programs to know if they're still doing that.
Right. Somebody was asking about Quinn. I will put this up there because we love ourselves some Tim Priester. He said, quote, "There's absolutely no doubt there will be a new O-line coach next year," unquote, yeah. Tim Priester. So
yeah. And look, and again, with what we said earlier, that we have been told that Chris Watt is someone that staff is pursuing. They're not going to pursue Chris Watt if Jeff Quinn's still on staff. Right. But I also don't want to say Jeff Quinn won't be back because we haven't been told that.
Right.
So
no doubt.
Did we get to this one yet?
No, I don't think so. David, thank you very much. I have to take a moment to thank Brian Kelly for building up Notre Dame, and now he's given us the final push to a national championship by going to LSU. I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So
hey, Air Pro. Go ahead. I was going to say Air Pro. He's putting some stuff in the chat. Dude, I wasn't being mean to you. That might have come off mean because I'm really tired right now, so I apologize. It wasn't coming at you, man. I just wanted to make sure you got your answer so that you stopped asking the same question over and over, man. It's all good. It's all good.
Vince being mean to people. Usually I'm the mean one.
I know. I think sometimes I come off as mean, and I don't mean it to be that way. So, so I apologize.
I got to get back up to where I was. There we are. Okay. There we go.
Brandon Krim, thank you very much. Brandon, I don't comment a lot. Not a Brian Kelly fan. All these coaches staying should tell you all you need to know about BK. Basis opinion.
I don't think that's fair because all the coaches have stayed considered going with him. They wouldn't have considered going with him if they didn't have a level of respect for him. And Mike Elson would not have stayed with BK for 18 straight years if there was not a level of respect for him. So, yes, I think it to a degree it says something, but I don't think it necessarily sends the emphatic statement that you think it does. I think it's more of a pro Notre Dame, pro Marcus Freeman decision than it is an anti Brian Kelly decision. Like,
Right.
I know that kind of makes me feel better to kind of think about that, because
Sure.
I've got some feelings on Brian Kelly and how he handled all this kind of stuff, and I have some feelings on the manner in which he tried to poach them before even giving Notre Dame a heads up. But at the same time, I don't think that they dislike him to the degree that maybe we're kind of taking this. And that's just kind of the deal. Right. And so, yeah, it's kind of froze up a little bit on me, Vince. So just give me a second. There we go.
Tyler Dye, a joke, but what about Coach O to help us recruit down? We had that one. I tried to recruit down in LA.
Okay.
I mean, Louisiana, not LA. He wouldn't do well there. IB is going to rock the world. That's a little
Gideon Rosa.
there.
Thank you very much for that, Gideon.
Boom. Love it. No predictor of is left.
Did we see this one already?
Yes.
Okay, because I got it did this weird thing where it kind of kicked me.
Pushes you back up.
Yeah, so that's the new thing is it pushes us back up, but that's fine.
It's better than the other way around.
Way better. Way better. So yeah, I'm trying to get back down to where we were.
The highest I have is 1137. So
okay, I was like a little past 11 o'clock. That one was like at 10:34. So I definitely definitely not where I needed to be. Did Brian O'Donnell? We got that super chat. Thank you, Brian.
But I'll thank him again.
Yep, thank you very much for that. Just in case we missed them, I don't want to leave anybody hanging because we've had a lot of people step up tonight, and
no doubt
we appreciate that very, very much. Your support has been incredible the last couple of weeks. I mean, it began on the Thanksgiving fundraiser, and it's just really continued, and we appreciate y'all. We've never gone over 1,000, and we're like down well over 1,000 from where we started, and we're still way over where we've been in the past.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's unreal.
We appreciate y'all very much. We appreciate y'all very much. Did we get this one earlier?
I don't think so.
A&M special. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Okay, we got Sean Lacero's coordinating on game day, so I'm getting
you're
close.
back in the neighborhood.
I'm getting close, folks. I'm getting close. I'm getting back to where we were. Man, there's so many comments in here tonight.
This is funny. Since you're looking,
did we get this one? We did, right?
Yes, I think we talked about that. But if not, thank you, Logan. Really appreciate it very much. Yeah.
Did you have something you wanted to pull up, Vince?
Well, yeah, this one was great. Stymie Snurdly. I'm gonna have to order some IB swag after the hours of free content I've consumed this week.
IB swag and sign up for the boards, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, you know what? And we've said this before. Just being here helps us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like that's the thing is we like. Hold on a second.
All good. We don't solicit super chats, but when they come, we want to make sure we read them. I know some people think that's all we do, but
who thinks that? I've never heard anybody say that.
Well, somebody said, hey, you got to pay if you want to get your question answered. Somebody said that earlier.
Okay.
It's like, well, that's not really the case, but there's so many.
But if you're going to pay, we're going to respect that you gave that, right?
Exactly.
I mean, but for those who can't, we can't pull up everything. There's thousands of comments in here.
Right.
And we have pulled some up that aren't paid.
Absolutely.
Hey, speaking of, look, people are going to think we're going to think. Andy Roach 1, thank you for that. Big super chat.
Awesome,
we appreciate you.
Wow.
We appreciate you very much.
Fantastic.
I heard from a source today.
Okay.
And I don't know how true this is, so I'm not going to say the player's name. That a former Notre Dame player that spent a lot of years in the NFL has reached out about possibly wanting to be part of this, even if it's like as an analyst role or like a role where he kind of like what Chris Watt did.
Yeah.
It'd be very interesting.
Well, feel free to let me know who that is.
Yeah. I will not tell you because then that'd be unfair to everybody else.
Oh,
I'm kidding. Well, I'm not kidding, but yeah.
I'm not kidding. I'm really not going to tell you, but that's fine. Artie, thank you for the super chat. Marcus Freeman clearly has shown an ability to recruit on a national basis outside Notre Dame, below a head coach or OC. Can you suggest another recruiter that can say the same that Notre Dame could bring over? So another dynamic recruiter, essentially, that's not on the staff right now.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of guys like that. I mean, we talked about possibly Tony,
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, Tony and Lance. I don't know if that would work again. I don't think Tony Alford's going to leave Ohio State. He's going to be coaching Travion Henderson the next 2 years. Like, why would you not want to do that, right? One of his kids, I think, is in high school now. Another one's in college in Ohio. So, I mean, but like somebody like that, there's a lot of good recruiters out there. That's what was so frustrating about Brian Kelly not being able to put good recruiting staffs together for a part of his early tenure. There's a lot of good recruiting coaches out there. The key is finding someone who can recruit and coach. That's a little bit harder to do because some guys are really good recruiters, but kind of mediocre coaches. Yeah. Some guys are really good coaches, but just bad recruiters. You got to be able to find both.
Right.
Benny Bolanos, appreciate you. He said, ran across our YouTube channel. Love it. Looking forward to your podcast too. Go Irish. Appreciate you. Appreciate you very much.
Thanks, Benny.
Got to see here. Here's one I wanted to respond to as well. And now I just pulled up 2 non-super chats, but they just kind of popped up. Jonathan Hilkema says, K-Ham just posted about Freeman. I'm definitely getting vibes that he's staying. If you're referring to staying for the bowl game, or for the playoffs if they make it, or potentially bowl game, at the end of the day, he may feel that right now, but he's going to go pro. He's going to go pro.
He should.
Another one from Octavio. Thank you, Octavio. I think Octavio's just giving a super test so he doesn't have to focus on the schoolwork. That's what I think is going on.
As someone who started coaching junior tackle this past fall, what tips do you have and any channels I should subscribe to?
Tell you what, Octavio, shoot me a DM or an email. My email is brian at irishbreakdown.com, and I'll try to put some stuff together for you. All right, let's get to a few more here before we got to go. There we go, Colin.
Colin Malloy. Thank you, Colin, very much. We hit Kelly's ceiling, not him hitting ours. Titles over 11 win seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see more and more fans saying that because I'll be honest, for a while there, I felt like I was kind of like as part of a very small group of people that were demanding that. But I feel like we're seeing more people now that Kelly's left. I think a lot of people feel freed from not having to defend Kelly's inability to win a championship. Now that he's gone, they can kind of dream about that again. I really do think people had to convince themselves of that. Otherwise, they would lose excitement. I really do think that was the case.
Right.
P-Money's just jumping right to it.
Do you think we beat OSU next? There's so many variables right now that we do not have the answers to. Who stays, who goes, what's the rest of the staff look like? Just there, it's too hard to say. I mean,
will they have a chance? Yes. Am I ready to predict it? It's way too early for that.
Nope.
Paul Olmstead.
Asleep by the time you guys read this, but just want to say you guys rock. Thanks for navigating us through this crazy week and keeping us off the ledge. Thanks, Paul, man. We really appreciate that very much. That's great. Triple Deck Poe. Thank you very much. How funny would it be if the 22 LSU QB decommitted from LSU, committed to Notre Dame? It won't happen, but it'd still be hilarious.
That'd be Walker Howard. It's definitely not happening, but yes, that would be hilarious. Or if Notre Dame flipped a couple LSU kids, again, it's not going to happen, but it would be pretty funny.
It'd be great. Keith, thank you for the super chat. Give Brian Kelly this. We're also happy these coaches are staying. Kelly did put together a heck of a staff. Not easy to put that many good people together.
Yes.
I agree.
Well, that's a great point.
That's really good.
There's a lot of coaches that he brought in. That's a great point.
And he brought in everyone.
And that's what we're trying to do is like there's some things Brian Kelly did that really ticked me off during his time and since he's left. But we're also trying to when we're having some fun tonight, but in the serious moments, we do need to be willing to say that if Brian Kelly was a bad coach, then why would we want to keep all of his assistants here?
Right.
Right. It's not like the guys that Jack Swarbrick hired that I've talked about in the past, like in 2016 when BK was trying to get out and Jack Swarbrick went for Chip Long and Mike Elko, and then Mike Elko brought in Clark Lee. Those guys are all gone now. The guys that are here now are guys that Brian Kelly went out and got, and that's
right.
Credit where credit is due.
No doubt.
Thank you for that super chat, Corey Hardy. Appreciate you
very much.
Appreciate you very much. I feel like I've gotten past midnight, so I feel like I'm actually like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Willie Watson Weatherberger with a super chat. Thank you.
It might be top 10 all-time names that we've seen, by the way.
Yes. Yep.
Colonel Klink's monocle still up there for me. There's some good ones.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of,
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, LSU fans starting to grumble about BK striking out on everyone. I mean, look, maybe they're going to end up being real happy with whatever staff he puts together. But at the present, like for this news cycle, he's got egg on his face. That's all.
yeah. I mean, there's
all I'm saying.
there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Yeah.
And he'll end up with a good staff because it's LSU.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
and clearly he put this staff together, so I would imagine
Right.
he'll have a chance to put that staff together.
Yeah.
I've heard
he is striking out right
I've
now.
heard he's trying to bring over Terry Joseph, which kind of makes me, a little bit. But that'll be a good hire for him because that's one area where Terry Joseph can recruit well is Louisiana. I mean, that's where he's from, and so that would make a lot of sense. He'll put a good staff together. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm enjoying the fact that all these Notre Dame coaches said no to him.
Me too. Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Savage Science Fitness. Notre Dame just won the breakup tonight. Let's go, boys. Rally around and win the Natty this season. Absolutely.
Yep. I'm with that.
Won the breakup. That's great. I like that.
Yep.
I like that a lot. I remember seeing that one not that long ago come up from the bottom, so I think we are getting close.
Yes. Hey, Willie. Wait a minute, did I get booted down? There we go. Okay. Willie Watson Weatherberger has another super chat. If you are CMF coach Marcus Freeman, because he's respecting your wishes, Vince. He didn't like the MF is messing with you. So CMF,
you're a man,
Coach Marcus Freeman. What are you looking for in a receivers coach? Okay, for me, I think a receiver coach is one of the positions more than any other that has to be a dynamic recruiter and a good coach. Yeah. I don't think you necessarily need an elite receivers coach, although it's always nice, but you have to have a good receivers coach in Brian Kelly's offense, which is going to be sort of where Tommy Rees came from. I think Tommy Rees is going to kind of take it to that next level, be more pro style, but even in that, you need guys that can know how to run routes and know how to get open. It's not just an air raid RPO that just schemes everything. You're just going to line up on one side of the field at one position because you're going so fast. You got to know how to play. And I think that you need a guy that can coach better than what we saw from Coach Alexander. But you have to have a dynamic recruiter at receivers coach.
Yes.
You have to.
Yep. I agree.
You have to.
Oh, hold on. Searcher, I want an NDMF shirt. I think it's late, so I think that's really funny.
It's funny.
That's where I'm at. Ryan O'Connor, thank you very much. 2008, Dabo was Clemson's offensive coordinator and then interim head coach. Okay. I will stand corrected.
I'm looking at his resume now because I was always in the impression he had never been an OC. So only 08, so interim head coach and OC. Did he take the OC job when Tommy Bowden got fired? I'm trying to see that one. So because I always thought Brad Scott was the OC, maybe not. I'll look into it. But yeah, you could be right. So he was an OC for a year if what you're saying is correct, and I have no reason to doubt you. Mark E. Stewart, my man.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Really appreciate that. I'm done worrying about BK. I'm looking forward to Freeman putting his stamp on the program, but I'm going to be patient. He's young, and so is Reese.
Yeah, but I do think that you inherited a pretty good deal, right? And I don't think there's too much of a growing pains that you should be going through. I mean, your job is to keep this thing rolling. Meaning, if they don't win a title in year one, it's not like, oh, they made a mistake. But dropping to 8-4, 9-3 would be like,
then we're having a different discussion. Yeah, absolutely.
But then it's about, okay, what do you do in year two? I mean, so yes, there needs to be a, look, you can't have that, but yeah.
Real Sports Talk with Alex. Thank you for the super chat. Carnell Tate and more posted on Twitter in Irish gear.
I'm sure they're fired up about Marcus Freeman being hired.
I mean, they did do that the last hour.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't. Yeah, you sent me the one, I believe, but it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily mean that now all of a sudden they're going to commit to Notre Dame. I mean, look, I don't think it hurts.
Not bad news.
It does not hurt. Yeah, it does not hurt. I want to address something that Mark said though, right here too at the beginning. After tonight, this is where I am.
Yes.
Right. This is where I am. As of tomorrow, Notre Dame's going to have their head coach, and Brian Kelly's at LSU, and I'm done. I'm done worrying about it. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm going to do.
But we're having fun tonight. Like,
we are. This is a fun show.
We're allowing ourselves one.
We're 3 hours and 43 minutes in. We're going to have a little bit of fun here.
Right. Matt, thank you for the super chat. Lifelong Irish fan. Stumbled upon you guys in Twitter after this whole thing broke. Your content has helped me survive the last few days and kept me sane. Thank you for all you do. Go Irish. Glad to have you on board, Matt. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Irish Breakdown family, man. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it very, very much. Very much.
Jesse Ferguson, thank you for the super chat. Do you believe Freeman as head coach might give Notre Dame a renewed chance with Nwamka, Lucas, Canoe? Seems like Schrouth and Notre Dame's O-line commits are in a tough spot.
Seems like Schrouth and Notre Dame's O-line commits are in a tough spot. I don't think so. I think they'll kind of here's the thing. I think that we've talked about this before. One thing Brian Kelly's done a really good job of is getting his staff to promote coming to Notre Dame because it's Notre Dame. Two of the kids you have committed are in-state kids. One of them, in Ty Chan's, kind of always wanted to go to Notre Dame. You know, we'll see what the other ones. But I think that you're going to have an O-line coach named relatively soon. And now we may see some of these kids not sign during December. That may be something they choose to do.
That's a good point.
But I think at the end of the day, you're going to see those kids stick in the class, assuming the new O-line coach wants them all, which I would imagine that he would. Goodness gracious.
I tried to block and
I know.
Not cooperating.
Yeah, it's because you blocked one and they just haven't gone away yet. So
okay.
I think that is them all.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, I think we've got to all of it.
I don't think it was ever going to end.
Yeah.
In a good way, people. Believe me. In a very, very appreciative and good way. Okay.
Vince, did you take care of that Captain Kenneth one?
I did.
Okay. Thank you.
That was me.
Okay. Thank you.
It was asked for by a few people, and I did disagree with them. So
Jeremy Dries with a super chat. You got to sneak one in, okay? Appreciate you, Jeremy, very much. Can we keep our stud linebacker class, especially our HHI? Not sure what that means. But worried about that back end and receivers in this class where they're from. So to me, I'm not. I mean, the linebacker class is staying. I mean, they came here to play for Marcus Freeman and play at Notre Dame, you know, and that's just this is huge. This is huge. If they would have lost Jalen Seed if they didn't keep Marcus Freeman, so that's a big one. And so I think they'll keep them back end. I don't see them losing any back end guys that they haven't already lost. Right, Devin Moore's obviously already out of the class. I think we'll see the other guys stay. Receiver, that was an issue before. You know, so we'll have to see what Tommy Rees can do, and have to hire a receivers coach that hopefully they can kind of quickly connect with them and those type of things. And it's not a given that Lincoln Riley's even going to want CJ Williams. So that's the other thing. But so does he look more at UCLA? He does fit what Chip Kelly likes to do. I did it right. I didn't say Chip Long. Usually I get that wrong and say Chip Long. But we'll see. Maureen Walker, I've always felt that at the end of the day, I've just I'll believe he's going to be with Notre Dame when he signs. That's when I'll believe that he's going to be there. But the back end, there's still work to do on the back end. Still work to do. But linebacker class, I'm very confident they're going to keep. And Vince, you had reported too that you had really good sourcing that said if Drake Bone, if Freeman left, Drake Bone was out of the class.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. His it was a good source. It's just really positive source. I saw a screenshot of a text message actually.
Yeah.
So
Michael Porton, been watching the Irish my whole life. Have not had as good of a day as today. Go Irish, drinks on me, boys. Appreciate you, Michael.
That's awesome, man.
That
Thanks,
means
Michael.
We can go buy a couple cases of Mountain Dew, Vince. It is
I
on.
could use one right about
yes,
now.
Yes. But Michael, thank you. And there's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement today. And that's kind of why we wanted to do the show the way we've done it, where we're excited because we wanted to let that energy just flow. Because I see it on Twitter, I see it on my message board, I see it in my friends like blowing my phone up, like, are they going to hire Marcus? Look, I've got friends of mine that are big donors at Notre Dame. I mean, these are people that are serious. They got serious things in their lives going on and big financial deals. And all they want to talk about in the last 2 days is, are they going to hire Marcus? Are they going to hire Marcus? Are they going to hire Marcus? And I love it. I love that energy. And that's what Marcus Freeman has brought. That's good for Notre Dame, and that's good for us. I mean, it's a lot more fun to cover the team. A lot of people want to be part of message boards and chats when there's energy around the program. And Notre Dame was the most – Vince, you and I talked about this during the season. You'd go to games, you'd go to tailgates, and there just wasn't the energy that we've seen in the past. It just was kind of like, oh, another season of not a great
Yeah.
home schedule. And,
Right.
maybe we'll get to the playoff and get crushed again. And I mean, you have Notre Dame fans saying, I hope we don't make the playoff.
Right.
Why? I guarantee you now look at all these Notre Dame fans. I
Right.
hope we get in now. I hope we get in now.
That was not the case a month ago.
No.
Not even close.
Not at all. Not at all.
even
Man,
close.
Demetrius Rex is always trying to start stuff. Always trying to start.
Mean
Yep.
and yet very helpful too. So I
Yep.
mean, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm not gonna. Say,
Bill S. Campbell, thinking about signing up for annual fee, but wonder if I should wait since season is almost over. No, you should not wait because we're going to have recruiting scoop. We're going to have, football never ends. We're going to have recruiting scoop by the time the second signing day ends. It's going to be spring. We are definitely going to have a ton going on. And especially as we work on, like I said, I've already interviewed one person for the open recruiting job we have. I may end up hiring 2, just depends on how things go. I'm very excited about that. So yeah, Bill, you definitely don't want to do that. And if you sign up for an annual fee, it's cheaper on a monthly basis than that. So it's, look, here, what you could do, Bill, is what I would maybe say do is instead of signing up for an annual, sign up for the monthly for just a couple months, try it out. And if you like it, if you don't think there's enough going on for you want to stay, then bail and come back when football season starts. But I think you're going to really like what we got going on in the conversations and the community we're building, and you're going to stay. But, just give it a shot, right? It's $4.99 for a month. Just give it a shot. And if you don't like it, it's easy to cancel. I've told people all you got to do if you want to cancel is just call me and I'll cancel it for you, right? I mean, just the easiest thing. It won't be like other places where you've got to spend hours on the phone to try to get canceled. If you don't want to be a part of what we're doing, or if you don't want to pay, or if it's just not the right time and you're not on there enough and whatever, hey, we'll take care of you, right? But give it a shot, and I think you'll enjoy it.
We got one more super chat.
All righty, full life.
CJ Williams just posted a Notre Dame story on Instagram. I think he's staying. Go Irish.
That'd be great. I like CJ a lot.
Look,
I like CJ a lot.
I can almost guarantee you, with no proof whatsoever, Marcus Freeman's been in contact.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll say.
No question. When Tommy Reese has been, that's going to be Tommy convincing him of what they're doing. Yep. That's a big part of that.
Yep. Coleman says Freeman has already energized the fan base. Love the show. Let's keep this going until 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. Oh, Coleman. Brent Moore, if I have insomnia, everyone has to stay up.
There you go.
Oh,
got another one. Greg Toole.
Greg, thank you very much, man. Really appreciate it. Told you are Swarbrick's successor is the next big hire. It was already a given that he was going to hit a home run here, just like when he replaced Muffet.
Yeah. I got some thoughts on what his next moves are going to be, but yes, and look, hiring a good AD, and a good AD is very, very important. Very
absolutely.
Very Jack in a lot of ways, Jack has been a great AD,
and he's elevated the position of athletic director at Notre Dame.
Oh, it's a big time. Yeah, it's a big. I mean, you're a power broker now.
I don't think it was like that though before he showed up. That's what I'm saying.
He's made it that way.
Right.
He's made it that way. Matt BWR2, I appreciate y'all streaming tonight. You are welcome. It was nice having somebody to share energy with. Do you guys do in-depth breakdowns of the X's and O's? Really looking to get an understanding of the specifics. Absolutely. And
that's what we do.
So what I would encourage you to do, what was the show we did the other day? Was the Upon Further Review?
Probably.
That so
all
Matt,
kind of running together.
I have a feeling because we have added about 1,000 new subscribers.
That's true.
In the last week. We've had chats in the 3,000. So there's a lot of people watching that have never watched us before. So that's a good question. The Sunday show we did the Upon Further Review of Stanford. We brought up some film and we talked X's and O's. We'll nerd out on film stuff and analysis stuff. And we're working on trying to find ways to make it more interactive, meaning more videos, more clips, things like that. If you sign up for the message board, we are working on being able to, we'll actually do some videos that are only available to people on the message board is something we're working on as well. But yeah, we definitely do a lot of that. Where our technology, I'm got some purchases I need to make here for Christmas that are going to allow us to be more modern and more updated and those type of things. But yes, we talk a lot of X's and O's. We're trying to show more and more X's and O's as we go through things. So yes, if you want to get an understanding of specifics, this is definitely the place for us. And look, go to our channel and search RPO and you'll see I did I think it was a really cool, X's and O's breakdown explaining what RPOs are using actual film and walking through it. So I think you'll enjoy that if you check that out. So yeah, we do a lot of that stuff. Connor O'Doherty, I love you, Brian. Connor, I love you too, man. Vince does as well. So we both love you very much. And here we go, Vince. See, he got y'all sad.
Yes. Thank you.
Sadly, I'm a broke college kid, so I can't give y'all money. But
Dude,
hey, I want to make sure this is clear, Connor. When you come on our chats and you stay the whole time, we make money off that. We make ad revenue off that.
Yes,
and,
no question.
And so that's why I say is if you click on my look, this is partly, Connor, too, why every story that I publish at irishbreakdown.com, every story is free. I haven't put a premium story out in almost a year, a little over almost a year. I put one out in like mid-December last year. So there's certain parts of my site that have to be premium because I need to make money, right? That's what the message board is for. Plus, I want to create a community that's a little bit more exclusive that you can really be a part of and you really have to engage in and those type of things. But the reason we don't require super chats, the reason we don't do things where you can only get our content if we're free is because I understand not everybody's in that position. I've been in times of my life where I couldn't afford to pay $2 a month to be a part of something like this, right?
No doubt.
So
Look, I got 5 kids, man. I get it.
And so Vince wouldn't be on the message board either if I didn't give him a comp to membership. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, but you have to allocate your funds a certain way.
But the thing is like we try to make it to where there's a lot of great content. So if you go to irishbreakdown.com, Connor, every article I have is free. But if you read it, I'm getting ad revenue from that, right? Like that's the thing. Like so yes, it's free, but you're still helping me. I'm trying to help you by giving you really good free content, and you're helping me by consuming it, which means we make money that way.
Exactly.
And so it's a give and take. And that's why anyone that engages our content is supporting us. Some people are in a position that they can financially give us. And we appreciate the heck out of that. And we try to do things to make them feel like it, to show our appreciation, which is why we always bring up the super chats, which is like 3 hours and 50. I wanted to go to I got articles I like to write. I would like to have been gone an hour and a half ago, but I want to stay and engage and answer those questions, which I appreciate. And that's why we do that. But at the same time, if you stayed and listened for this, you're helping us out too. So don't feel bad. We love you too. We appreciate it. And we appreciate you being a part of Anthony L. I was so wrong yesterday. So glad Reese is staying. Benjamin Weiss, the past 2 weeks have been crazy at work, working until 2 a.m., but your extensive late night coverage of this craziness has helped me while toiling in this darn factory big time. Thanks, guys. You're welcome. You are very, very welcome.
Got one right here. Coleman Clark, thanks for the super chat. Feel like a kid at Christmas. If I lived in Baton Rouge, I would feel like I just got coal in my stocking.
Yep. Octavio Roca says, I've considered signing up for the board, but thought I can't afford it. But my super chats lately, I think it just shows I can't manage my money well. So for those that aren't aware, the website is either $4.99 a month reoccurring payments or $49.99 a year, which comes out to about $4.02 or something like that a month, I think is what it is. Let me do the math there. But it's definitely something where I think it's, I've told people if you want to support us, yes, you can give super chats, but you can also just join the website. Now, even if you're not someone who's on a message board a lot, you're still supporting us by signing up. And it's a lot of times it's going to be cheaper to do that than it is to give a super chat. And with the message board, we get, like, other than the transaction fee for the credit card or PayPal, payment, we get all of it. So that's always a way to go. And we appreciate it. So I appreciate you very, very much. And you got the one from Coleman Clark about the kid at Christmas, right?
Yep. This is a good time, I think.
And I think we are done. So there we go. All right, here we go. Alejandro Coronel. Live in SEC country, and all I wanted for Christmas was Notre Dame slapping the SEC in the face, and they definitely did that today. Let's go win a natty. You are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Love it. And then we got all the super chats, right?
Yeah, no,
we
we're
got them
caught
all
up. Yep.
Okay, there we go. So, hey, everybody, have a phenomenal night. We appreciate all of you being a part of what we're doing. This was a lot of fun night. Big time for Notre Dame.
Yes.
Very exciting time to be a Notre Dame fan. Hit the like button before you leave. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. So if any more news breaks and we got to do a show, if news breaks tonight, for example, after this show, we'll tell you about it tomorrow because Vince has got to go to bed and I've got work to do before I go to bed. So no more tonight. We'll be back there tomorrow. I hope everybody has a great night, and we will talk to you all again at 12:30 tomorrow. We'll be there. Have a good one. We'll talk to you. Unless for some reason the press conference carries over with that time, then we'll just do it afterwards.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly.
So anyway, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Have a great night. We'll talk to you very, very soon.